working just as I planned it. All right, here we go. The show begins in 3, 2, 1.
Estinian.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Core. This is Core, of course, and we are the only podcast in America or otherwise that I'm aware of that you can count on to pronounce all Final Fantasy character names correctly. All right? I actually believe that's true. I'll bet if I put a big list in front of John and said, how do you say these names? You'd get it. Because
I don't know about that. You got some crazy names in this new expansion.
Well, my adventures in Heaven's Word, which I just finished, there's a lot of that. I hear there's more as I go, but man, those guys are really fond of making unintelligible names. In fact, usually I don't know until we've had a voiceovered sequence, right?
Yeah.
So I'll have lots of conversations and I'll hear things like, or I'll see names like Ophiliac or whatever. And I'll be like, cool, that's a name.
Ophilia.
And then later on, someone will actually say it and go, before we meet here, we need to wait for Ophiliacus or some other name. And I'm like, oh, well, shit. That's not what I had in my head. So anyway, we try the best we can and we do what we can. Also, if we have any Fallout fans in his house, I put up a thing that I want people to know about on the brand new Frog Pants store. So a while ago, I drew some Fallout related art right around the time the show is hitting, and have just not had a chance to put up a bundle and have it available. It is available now. If you're in the US, it is 100% free shipping and comes in 2 sets of sizes, 5x5 inch set or an 8x8 inch set. You'll have to figure out your own space points if you live in parts of the world where it is centimeters. Anyway, these things are going to go quick, and I'm only going to make so many of them. It features a big constructed Nuka-Cola print, one of Vault Boy with his hand cut off, and a hackable terminal from the games. And I'm really happy with them, and I want you to have some. So go check them out. frogpants.shop. S-H-O-P. frogpants.shop. If you go to frogpants.com, that's fine too, because up there is a link right to it, and it'll take you there. So go check it out. Get them while they last. They will not be here very long indeed.
Just in time for all the Emmy nominations for that show.
Oh, that's right. And the Ghoul got a Best Actor deal.
He did, although I feel like the main actress got a little bit of a snub. I feel like she carried that show.
I agree. She's very good.
She did not get nominated, and I think that, I think it's cool they're recognizing that show. That show was very good, but yeah. I think not recognizing her was a shame. I think
Walton Goggins might have some other nominations too for previous work. I don't actually know that for sure. I could look.
I mean, look, I love Walton Goggins. I don't think it should be either or.
No.
But Ella Purnell was the emotional heart of that show. And I feel like if you're going to say that show stands up as one of the best dramas, some of the best writing, some of the best acting, I feel like you kind of have to recognize her as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree. He's won for a few things and been nominated for a ton. So he was nominated for The Shield, Justified, Django Unchained, Sons of Anarchy, Righteous Gemstones, bunch of nominations. He won for a bunch of awards I've never heard of. Well, Critics' Choice Award, I've heard of that, but Newport Beach Film Festival Award, I don't know what that is.
I didn't know he got nominated for Righteous Gemstones. That makes me so happy, Baby Billy.
It's such an amazing character. It's so
they
good.
recognized him.
In fact, it wasn't until Fallout where I could finally shake that vision or that image of him, because he so fits that character for me that when I'd see him do anything else, I'm like, oh, here comes the preacher guy. So
Baby Billy's Bible bonkers.
Yep.
That just lives in my head, rent free.
If you've never seen that show,
every now and then.
Yeah, worth watching, worth subbing to Max to see, in my opinion. It's so good. Anyway, go check those out. Again, that's frogpants.shop, and I would love it if you did. All right, let's get to our main topic. I like research, I like numbers, I like statistics, and good news, I have all 3 of those things in the following story. Comscore, we've talked about them before in some other context. It was forever ago, so I could not tell you what it was, but they do these studies where they check out the state of things like gaming, and it's in certain categories and different demographics and this sort of thing. This is what they got. They surveyed close to 5,000 adults, just shy of that, between the ages of 18 and 65. Nice broad sampling. And it just published its 2024 State of Gaming Report. These respondents that they talked to said they played video games on a device at least once a month, up to multiple times a week. Now, we're obviously the multiple times a week. We are the multiple times a day people, probably. So they didn't really get into that, what the extreme play all the time people were, and they didn't get into who never plays video games. This is more of like a general sampling. Anyway, here's the interesting stuff, and I wanted to toss this around a little bit. About a third of them, of the results, said in-game ads affected their gaming experience negatively. Only a third of them said it affected them negatively. That surprised me a little bit, because I think in-game ads are terrible no matter where they show up, especially mobile, but anywhere else too. Like, I remember being so incensed when Burnout Paradise had billboards from advertisers in it. And in theory, that should be like a realistic experience. Like, oh.
Yeah, see, you're naming the exact example that I'm fine with it on.
Yeah.
Like,
okay with that?
I don't mind if you can hide it well. Like quasi-invisible advertising, I'm fine with. If you're doing a sport game and you have banners that are ads in the arena, or stuff that fits what you see when you watch that sport live, or billboards in a racing video game, things like that. When it's in places that make sense, I actually don't mind it. I think it's okay. I'd rather see that than brought to you by Super Cola or something like that. It's like, we all know what you're trying to do. Like, you're effectively giving free advertising without doing it. You're just trying to usually, you're trying to get as close without actually doing it.
Sure.
So I don't mind it in those cases, but like, as soon as it starts to break through reality, like, I think that a new modern day advertisement tucked in like a post-apocalyptic city would be weird, right? Like, that's maybe starting to go too far.
If you were playing Cyberpunk and you came around the corner and there's a big Blue Chew ad, you're like, wait a minute. Like, that's a current day. Like, it needs to be contextual, right? That's kind of what you're saying.
Yes, it needs to fit. And if it doesn't fit, then it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. 45% said they didn't mind watching pop-up ads and if they offered in-game rewards. And I've heard this before. That guy we all follow on streaming now, I forgot his name. The ex-Blizzard guy that's suddenly everywhere. Everybody loves him.
Oh, Pirate Software?
That guy. Yep. Thor. Okay. He said that from his experience within the industry, the thing that was the most effective is the one that not enough people use, which is, and especially in mobile games, but where you don't mind watching a pop-up ad because what they're giving you to do it is a fair exchange. So if an app or a game of any kind says to you, if you watch this 30-second ad, we'll give you 1,000 gold on top of the 500 you just earned. Do you want to do that? And then you have a choice. You say, well, no, because I'll never watch an ad. And then you just move on and play the game. Or you say, well, yeah, that's actually pretty good. That saves me a bunch of time. I'll go ahead and watch a 30-second ad for 1,000 gold. He really liked that, and I agree with him. I think that is, if you're going to have a free-to-play game, that's one great way of doing it, because you respect the player a little bit. You're saying, look, we can show you this ad, and that helps us. So if you watched it, it was really help us. And for that, we will give you this. And as long as they're giving something that's sort of worth it, then it's not so bad. I don't mind those.
It depends. Like, again, it's fine until you start designing your game around it. Like, if your game exists like poorly as a poor video game experience in an effort to entice players to watch ads, then it's not good, even if you're giving the player something for it. Mm-hmm. Like, let's use a system that everybody knows, like the dreaded energy system in mobile games. It's one of the primary reasons I don't play mobile games, is it's so stupid. Like, oh, hey, you've played enough. If you want to play more, you got to spend real money. Like, it's such a stupid mechanic, and it's very player unfriendly, and it's bad. If it's a case of like, well, you can give us real money to buy a token to play more, Or you can watch an ad and then you get to play more. Well, that doesn't make the game suddenly well designed.
No, you're right.
Like that's a
Yeah.
poorly designed video game and mechanic, and like that's not good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to incentivize something, this is a little different than what we're talking about here. But I actually thought the recent Mountain Dew promotion with Final Fantasy XIV was pretty funny and pretty good. And it was like, you drink the soda, put in your points on a website. Once you have enough points, you redeem it for an item in the game. And the item in the game for drinking Mountain Dew is in Final Fantasy. There's a type of bird called a zoo. And in this case, it's the Mountain Zoo, which is a green one.
Yeah, Mountain Zoo.
And I thought that was clever, and I thought that was funny. And I was like, all right, it's all fun all around. It's just a good time. Like, didn't hurt anybody, didn't make the game worse for it.
Right.
And you got a stupid pun on top of it, and I'm all for it. That stuff, I'm totally okay with when that stuff exists. But when you start to build a bad video game around the idea of getting money out of players to make the bad video game okay or good, like that's when you start to lose me. Make a good video game first, and then find a way to monetize it.
Yeah, those birds don't run around with like T-shirts on that say "Do the Do" or Mountain Dew.
No,
Right? Okay.
they're just a green zoo.
Yeah, I mean, back in my BlizzCon days, the one mount I would never pull out was the one I got for going to BlizzCon in 2011 because it featured a bear, a polar bear, and then up on top of the polar bear is what's driving it is a Murloc. That's fine. Have a Murloc on there. But the Murloc's waving a BlizzCon flag. And it's well within universe to say, well, it's a Blizzard, it's BlizzCon. This is where everyone comes to talk about WoW stuff. It just it takes me out of the game. And there's a lot of things in games that can take you out of the game, but that drove me crazy. It's like I even went to that. I even liked going to that. I don't want to wave a flag around when I'm writing this thing. That just felt like a weird.
It's a tax on goodwill, like especially for the online spaces. I remember PlanetSide was the first time I came across this, where they instituted billboards throughout the game world.
Oh, right.
Through which they were going to put ads on.
Yeah.
But there was such an uproar that it never happened. So it just advertised the game, and it was still annoying. Like, even though they just said PlanetSide, I was like, come on, it's a fictional universe. Like, why am I...
Wait, the billboard did actually say play PlanetSide? Like they were like actively...
Yeah, because they didn't want to leave them blank, so they just put like key art and PlanetSide on them because backlash.
Because heaven forbid they just not put that in the world.
Well, they never took them out. They were just there as reminders of this dumb move, and everyone was just like, "Oh, they're waiting for us to, calm down. They'll eventually put it in, probably." But the game died long before those ads ever got implemented. But that was the first time I had run across it, and I mean, I think if you have a game world, then you are taxing the verisimilitude of your game world. You're it's not even inshitification. Like you're actively ruining the product for the people that enjoy it.
Yeah.
And people, I think, will take that up to a certain point and be okay with it. Like maybe your example's like, it's not that egregious, but wait until there's a Cheerios ad in your game. Like, where does it stop?
Yeah.
And these guys don't stop, right?
No,
like,
always
if
find a way.
something is successful, then we do it again. Like, that's why we have so many of those, man. Like, just name anything in gaming that people don't like. Well, it was still successful, and so they did it more.
Well, a comparison for product placement, best comparison is probably film. And there are times where I have, they need to have computers at the spies agency. And the fact that the movie has a deal with Dell to have nothing but Dell logo showing on all these monitors doesn't bother me at all, because they're just using computers. And in this case, they're all Dells. And also, that's how the government buys massive amounts of machines at once. They just buy a ton from Dell.
They
get a contract.
Believable. Like,
I can deal with it. But when they do these things where it's like, zoom in on the actor's hand as he grabs an icy cold Coca-Cola from a thing full of ice, and it's almost like you've been taken out of your damn thing. Kind of like the Star Trek or the Star Wars... that thing that memed around for a while last month where in some country, when Obi-Wan reaches in to get...
Cerveza or whatever.
Yeah, it's a beer or something. And it's real.
I can't
like
remember.
They legit did it. Like, that's how it sometimes feels. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. I'm not ever buying this stuff that you guys do this in. But also, even companies who I use a lot of Apple stuff. But you know what annoys me? I love Apple TV shows. They're really good, some really high quality stuff. But they got to have some rule on set where all the good guys are using iPhones, and the one evil guy who's trying to take down the agency or whatever, he's using some Android phone. And it's old too. It's some shitty old Android phone. And I know that it's probably just me seeing it, but when there's bias there, right? So when a video game goes, we're going to put a bunch of ads in, you're not going to notice it. It'll just be part of the world, be part of the context. I'm very skeptical until I see how they do it. So John's right. It can be done right, and in the right game, let's say a open world crime game like GTA, although GTA fakes all the names, which I also appreciate.
Yeah, I think people would actually probably be upset with GTA because GTA tends to be pretty decent at the satire of it, and they put effort. Again, they're not doing we tried to make the Coca-Cola logo, but we couldn't call it Coca-Cola, so it's basically the exact same logo, the exact same thing, but we called it Soda Cola or something like that. And it's like that. There's no creativity there. You're just trying to make everybody think of a thing, and you're copying the thing. Like if you're going to riff on it and parody it, then yeah, absolutely you should do that. But if you're just going to try and mimic the thing, like to me, you might as well put Coca-Cola in there. Like why not make some money for yourself and just put the thing in there rather than try to come up with a safe, a close enough approximation to be able to do it.
Well, plus in their case, in Rockstar's case, they print money. They don't need the extra. They don't need some other plan for ads, So they reap their own rewards with all their other egregious stuff they do with online and whatever, with GTA Online that people get suckered into. But for the most part, they just sell a ton of copies of their games, and they don't need to put ads in them. And I like that. I prefer to play a game that is successful because the game was good, not because they were really good at ad deals.
I mean, to me, it almost falls in that same case of like DLC or in-game stores. When it's good, when it's bad. Like, do I care that Tony Stark drives a expensive looking sports car that's an actual sports car you can go out and buy?
Right.
No. Do I care that in this post-apocalyptic world where everything is smashed and falling apart, that there is a completely clean, untouched, unfazed, sparkling, invincible modern-day car that you can go out and buy right now, roaming around without any dirt on it? Yes, that incredibly takes me out of the moment and the world and the setting. Yeah, so you know it when it's bad. And Beau's also right. Like, they'll get away with as much as you can do. Like at the end of the day, the people making the games need to act as a proper barrier to these things. And we certainly see various degrees of protection of that. Some people where it's like, no, we absolutely don't want that in here at all. And some people where it's like, do whatever you want. We'll take the money, please.
Yeah, but like in Square's case, when they put the car from Final Fantasy 15, the bro car, as a mount in there,
the bro car,
the bro road trip car. I see that thing driving up all the time in the game, and I'm not taken out because I see it as in some ways it is them saying, hey, we have other games and you should, they're awesome. You should go play them. Blizzard does it with their other games, and they include a Zerg pet in WoW or, whatever crossover you do. I find that not to be a problem at all because A, it's contextually makes sense to me. It's one company making things people like. But B, or two, I don't feel like it's me turning a corner in Azeroth and going, oh, an eHarmony ad on the side of this orc building. Like,
right.
F that. I would be so mad if they did that, but I wouldn't mind if I came around the corner and saw, I don't know, Jim Raynor, his bike, but looking a little hoardy or whatever, seeing that drive up, I'd go, yeah, dude, Jim Raynor. Like, it works for me. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's interesting because 34% of these respondents said product placement made the games feel more real to them. And to me, that better be the kind of games John's talking about, or who are these freaking people?
I feel like, who did they survey?
5,000 adults between the age of 18 and 65.
No. who were the Yeah, okay. Thank you, Scott. I know that part, but I mean, who are they? Like, because there are people who just straight up suck, and like they're when it comes to this, like, look, and I have a real world example. Okay, my mom's left the house temporarily, so we can speak freely.
Oh,
She likes to watch the old CBC. That's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
sure.
All right, and on the Xbox they have a free app called CBC Gem.
Ooh.
And when you log into Gem, you can watch your Canadian shows. There's a lot of British shows. But you know what happens when it's commercial break time? They'll show like 13 commercials. I went up there one day and I saw she was watching 6 out of 13. And I was like, 6 out of 13? Mom, I will pay for your subscription. Like, there's no way you should. This is like abuse. This is 13 and it's like, every 10, 15 minutes, here's 13 ads. She's like, oh, I don't mind them. I was like, what? She's like, no, I don't want to pay for it. It's fine. And you can let the ads run anyway. I'm like, it's the same 3 ads 4 times over.
Yeah, they play
it.
Yeah.
Times. Yeah. Please stop this self-abuse.
That's what got me to subscribe to YouTube, by the way.
Yeah. Same.
She got mad at me for being such a bitch about it.
Really? Did she say Beau? Did she say Beau quit being such a bitch about it? Did she say that?
Yeah. She's like, I don't mind it. And she's like, well, listen, this is how I watch TV.
Yeah.
And I kind of picked up on it. I was being like, because in my personal life, I hate ads with a passion.
Yeah, same.
I am you. If you want to call me some sort of ist or ism against advertising, please do. I hate them. I would gladly see all of them gone 100%. I have a very strong bias against ads. I hate them completely.
You don't like subscriptions either, though, right?
There's some well, yeah, I don't. I think it's more a state of subscriptions and not subscriptions in
good
general.
point.
I think that's market conditions. Now everybody's doing it. It's saturated. I'm not giving everybody my money. Y'all can piss off, except for YouTube and Patreon.
I brought that up to stave off some emails before people were like, well, Beau just talking about subscriptions. Now they suck.
Well, I know, because you hear one thing and you're like, the hypocrite police are always out to examine everything you say and draw false conclusions about hypocrisy.
They're on the job, dude.
We're talking about advertising, which is, I'm doing you a favor by watching it, right? When I buy your video game, it's because I want to play the video game. You're doing me the favor and I'm giving you the money for the pleasure.
Yeah.
But I don't want to watch the thing. You're basically assaulting me with something I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And in the TV days, it was like, even in TV days, you pay for the TV. Why am I watching ads? What's the money for?
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, we had no cable, so we had just the 4 channels or whatever, 3 channels plus a local. And even back then, they weren't abusing us so much. Like, I would watch Saturday morning cartoons, and I would get maybe 3 commercials for an entire half hour of programming. I could deal with that. Today, they just not only do they overrun you with it, but like you were saying, there's a little, you're on 4 of 15 indicator at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Good
it's
Lord,
bad. And
dude.
even streaming services, some of them are like, oh, we're going to have an option where you get less ads, but we're still going to run ads. Like they're always creeping. They always, we just need a bit more money. We just need a bit more money. And I have a hard line, like, you start doing that shit, you're dead to me, and I get that they have over air. Like, we didn't have cable. We had Bunny Rabbit Ears TV. Yeah. I find it understandable to run ads because you're offering something for free, right? But I still hate them. And the moment I became an adult and had options, I stopped watching ads, right? So I just hate them. And I find it crazy that people like it. And I feel like it's like Stockholm Syndrome. It's like, no, they're abusing you, but you just don't have a fight. You don't have a dog in you to fight it. So you just accept it. You accept the abuse.
You know what I did this
and it makes
week?
me mad.
What'd you do?
I watched it, not the whole thing, but I put it on for a little bit. A YouTube video of like 90s ads, just the ads.
That can be a different kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about ads. It's not like they're chill. Like, we run ads on the show. We were like, hey, man, sign up for our Patreon. We're not like, hey, bazinga, Patreon money. Ooh, click, 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 click. Like, we're not trying to, like, obnoxiously assault your senses. We're just like, hey, man, like, we earn money through our through people listen. Like, you want to be a supporter? Yeah. Come support us. All right. Anyways, cool. Let's do a show.
We're also not raising.
Ads
we're
are like,
yeah.
Do you want to hear about Cheerios for the 10th time? Watching Friends? Like, it's like Cheerios. It'll be like
Cheerios really taking one in the face tonight. The Cheerios
Yeah,
are.
Beau's got a personal vendetta against Cheerios.
You know why I'm talking about Cheerios?
Why?
It's because I watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and he made a reference to Cheerios. He actually made fun of them because you can't take them. I can't remember the context of the joke, but they're in my mind now because I'm absolutely positive that was a product placement in their bit.
Oh, you think
they
so?
do that all the time. Yeah. Now, I think if you're on John Oliver, you have to accept that he's probably going to make fun of you, but that's how deranged advertising is. Sometimes it's not a bad, like Apple not wanting to be evil is kind of dumb because I think a lot of companies are like, well, if it's tasteful, you can poke fun at us, and you do see that from time to time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember
that's why Cheerios are in my mind because they paid John Oliver money, and I saw it
when Norm Macdonald was still with us. His podcast had "Man Great" as their ads, and there was this real big lesson around it because he was really funny during those ad reads, like really funny, and they were way better than just a traditional ad read, but they were also kind of, distasteful, if you want to call it that, or he was making fun of the product a little bit, but they still sold a ton of these things based on these ads. And they ended up canceling the contract with him because they're like, well, we just need to be able to control our message or whatever. And their sales dropped. Like, everyone's so damned uptight about this stuff. I think that's why like John's Mountain Dew example in Final Fantasy is actually a good one, because that thing knows exactly what it is, right? And it's not trying to be coy, and it's not trying to dance around it and go, hey gamers, hey fellow gamers. They're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're saying, get this bird. He's yellow and he has a dumb punny name. Get it? Anyway, see you in Raid.
It's the mountain zoo. It's a zoo from the mountains.
Yeah.
That's where these
I also
that.
think it's acceptable if you're just like, we have an ad, do you want to watch it? Because there are ads I would genuinely just watch, like movie trailers. But if somebody said, Toyota made an awesome ad, like, it's just cool, it's a cool watch, I got a problem with a company making something cool to watch.
Like that Paramount ad where Captain Picard says to throw the child.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I don't remember that one, but
Super Bowl ad, right? I think.
Yeah,
it was all right.
But I hate when you're like, engaged in an activity and then they wedge it in there because they know your attention is wrapped. Like it's not offensive, but it's aggressive. They know they've got you over a barrel, so you'll take some zaps, and I find that kind of behavior very distasteful.
We're also a little double-faced in the consumer part of it because we want, if we're going to get advertised to, we want stuff that we're interested in that actually target our interests. And
don't track our information.
Yeah, at the exact same time, we're like, don't track me. I don't want to. I'm unsigning up for your tracking. Please don't track me on this phone or whatever. And so we're at two ends there. It's like, well, we want this more personalized experience so that we care about the shit we have to sit through more than we do. But we also don't want to let them in. So I don't know what the answer is, other than this is an industry that will, in games or otherwise, will go on forever trying to do this.
We seem to be in the minority based on this poll.
Well, I think that's because, like, the type of gamers that we are in the minority of gamers overall. Like, if you look at the broad spectrum of people who play video games, like mobile gamers, like the idea. So one of the things, like the 45% didn't mind watching pop-up ads that offered in-game rewards. I don't play any video games where that's an option. None.
Yeah. You avoid them.
So like I would abstain from answering that question because it's not something that I experience, because those aren't the types of video games that I play. And I don't think that's the type of video games that most of the people, I would say vast majority of people listening to the show play. But those video games are played by the majority of human beings on this planet.
Right.
So it applies to them. It just doesn't apply to us.
They also have these extra numbers that go along with what you just said. 77% of gamers play on more than one platform. That's interesting. But that could be, well, I'm on my phone and my work computer sometimes. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it could be anything.
My iPhone and my iPad.
That's a great diversity of platforms. And then 40% play across all platforms. I think that's closer to us than anybody. It's close. It's pretty close to me. I'll try anything on anything, basically. I like mobile. I like portable. I like desktop. I like consoles. Like I'm kind of all over the place, but I don't feel like they're highly represented here. And then the weirdest stat here is 79% of those who watch esports watch them with others. So nobody, well, not nobody, but only 30% of people are sitting in their underwear watching esports by themselves, according to this. Right? Like,
I mean, are they saying they watch it with others because there's other people watching the same stream?
I don't think
Or do they-
so, because that would be
mean they
100%. That'd be 100%, wouldn't it? If it was.
Oh, I just wonder how many people misunderstood the question.
It's entirely possible that it was a large amount. It may have been.
Well, there's a
watching
chat
it
room,
around.
so
Chat
obviously
room,
there's other people watching.
Watching it with people. I mean, you don't know, like, people that are terminally online don't think of things the same way as the normies do.
Yeah,
right? So,
you're not wrong. I'm not saying this data is sus. From what I can tell from the article and from the origin, they are, they were, follow all the best practices and all that stuff.
It
yeah.
could be. Did they comment on it? Let me see.
Later on, they do. They have a whole bunch of stuff they won't show you unless you subscribe, which I think is hilarious given what we're talking about.
Can I watch a in-browser ad to read the rest of the article? Just this one.
Yeah, if you want to.
It is subscribing is best value. You're talking about variety, right?
Yeah, the variety. No, I'm sorry. I think it's the Comscore article below it.
Okay. Because I went to Variety. I thought maybe you could sub to Variety because literally the second I go there, there's a video playing in the bottom right. There's an ad in the top. There are another ad, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I haven't even finished the article scrolling through. Yeah. So it's best value. If I subbed, I get rid of 9 whole ads, or is it just half the ads? Like, I don't know. But
well,
I don't think if you sub to magazines, you get rid of the ads. I think they still live there, but then they just go, well, now you can read our content.
Yeah. What's crazy, not crazy,
cool.
but if you go to that page, it tells you a bunch of stuff that they answer. You can download the preview, which is what I did.
Whoa! Purchase report for $3,500.
Yeah, $3,500 or $11,500 if you're. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know why you'd pay more there. Why would you?
I'm in the wrong business, man. I should go ask 5,000 people what they think about something and sell that for thousands of dollars.
Here's the thing: there's real money in that. I have a family member whose business is similar to this. It's like corporate, not espionage. What's the word I'm looking for? Corporate. It's not the right word. It sounds
corporate
data
analysis, that sort of thing. And he did really well with that company. He's just sold it, in fact, and did extremely well with it. And I think that's similar to this. And if you're Sony and you're like, we need some data on this particular demographic, you have no problem spending $11,500 on it. You just plunk it down. So I think that's we're not the
drop
customer.
in the bucket for a lot of big orgs for sure, and they want to know what the people think, because they're not.
They're too stupid to figure it out themselves.
Well, they're in their bubble. Like, when you work for any company, you're in a bubble. You stop being honest about the product. You can't go around saying like, yeah, PS5, what a piece of shit. No, everyone that works for Sony thinks PS5 is great. Nobody has anything critical to say at all. So
no, everyone loves it.
You lose your perspective that way.
Yeah, so. If anything, I feel like they were a little glowy in Variety about this. Like, oh, they don't mind ads. This is great. Everybody's pretty cool with ads.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I'm just like, this is.
I don't think the data reflects what their tone is. What I'm saying. I think
I'm like, am I gonna go to an advertising company and try to sell them my report and say like, as a preview of the report, everyone hates your business and wants you to go jump off a cliff. You're gonna say like, oh, they love advertising. Buy my report, please. And then there's a report for $3,500. There's also one for $11,500, and that one really tells the story that people love advertising.
Yeah, they don't get into why, or maybe if I click through, it would tell me, but they don't really get into what the difference is between these two packages. Maybe one is more like it's all the data.
It might be more robust data. Maybe you get access to the actual like database, not the analysis.
It's the platinum edition. It's like video games, platinum and gold. This is the gold edition, platinum edition. That's it. You want to pay up and play early?
I mean, man, it's quite a jump from 4,000 roughly to 12,000.
It's a lot.
Oh no, hang on. Purchase access full report $3,500. via an easy-to-navigate dashboard, customizable pre-built visualization modules, easily craft all the presentation reports, infographics, graph, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Plus, gain access to all add-on segment cuts for an additional 8,000.
I'm sorry, what are those? Add-on segment
Add-on
cuts.
segment cuts.
Yeah, that sounds like malarkey.
So, yeah, I don't...
I'm sure it's real, but I don't know what that is.
English, please.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, regardless, I think ultimately the questions that Beau has following most of these statistics are like, that's exactly the problem with this as a data point. Like, look at what games are being developed. Think of the business decisions that we're seeing and that we're seeing companies justify. And it's because they're getting data without clarification on what that data represents.
Yeah.
Like, imagine looking at these numbers as Sony, Microsoft, something that caters more to core gamers. It doesn't accurately reflect their market share.
No.
This reflects a mobile market share.
You're right. So
I would
King-
trust this
yeah.
in a mobile space.
Yeah.
If I was trying to put my game out on Steam or Xbox, this data would not do me any good.
No, it wouldn't. They're not the ones to buy this unless they're trying to break into mobile more or something. But this is more like Microsoft might be interested in this now because they have King as under their ownership now. So maybe that would matter to them. But that
But
really
I also
is
don't trust these companies to figure that out. Like, if they can't figure this out without spending a ton of money on data from people, like, I can't trust that they're going to be able to discern the data that they're getting accurately.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's going to say, oh, well, they're smart, they got people for it. Again, look at the decision making that's happening in video games right now and tell me that they're accurately reacting to the market.
It doesn't feel like it. I agree with you. It certainly does not. But yeah, this is someone made a really important point in here. Was it Marzipan? Yeah, data analysis would be worthless if you fudge those numbers to please the buyers. That's true. So there is no business model if you're just faking that shit. They want real stuff. I have no doubt that this is good data. The question is, who wants it? Who wants to pay for it? And will any of it?
I think it's grifters grifting grifters, because like if you look at like hugely successful games that are beloved, they're just kind of made because we're making something awesome for people. You know, like I think in No Man's Sky and their continued success, Larian and what they've done. You know, the decision to make Baldur's Gate 3 didn't come out of something like this. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. In fact, if anything, what they had data that they ignored, and Microsoft was like, we're not paying to put that on Game Pass. That's a weird PC fetish game. Nobody's going to want to play. They were wrong. They were so wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they've said so. Freaking, they get on podcasts and say, "Oh, we really did miss the boat on that." I was like, "Well, all right, just start buying more data, I guess." I don't know what you guys do.
Well, no, it's because when you're in a corporate environment, you have to you can't just be like, "Listen to me. I know what's cool and what's not cool." Like, no, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to you got to be like, well, what do the analytics say? We got to mitigate risk, and and certainly there are people come along who think they know what's great and ruin companies. So it's not as if that fear comes from nowhere.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But there are people that are just like, know their shit. They're hot. Like Chris Messin's one of them that we can say in this from the Blizzard vertical of things. And like there are people like that. Sid Meier made a lot of great games. Sid Meier's like, hey man, I think we should do this or something. You're like, okay, maybe I'll listen to Sid Meier. But if Dan Vanderbilt from you're like you just met, maybe he's great, maybe he's not great.
We apologize to anyone named Dan Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Dan Vanderbilt. I'm sorry.
That's a great name.
I picked a random name. Yeah, but I just picked a random name that might show up in like Fargo or something like that.
I can see him wearing a suit and coming to the meeting. I've got data. I'm Dan Vanderbilt. Look at my portfolio.
So guys, we haven't had a big version of in a long time. A breakout game. I think balls and pads are making a resurgence.
Yeah. Just making an RPG.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like it's like you can't. Like obviously you can't just entrust people to make decisions without a background, and if your company just doesn't have them because you lay them off, provide terrible working conditions, and like just basically do everything in your power possible not to create a fertile garden of talented people, then yeah, you need stuff like this to tell you what to do because you don't have people with great ideas and commitment to hard work. I mean, just listening to your word on the street, You know, you think they're reading this report and being like, "Oh, our MMO should definitely have more advertisements in it. They love advertising." You should show this report to Greg on the next word on the street.
Yeah, see what he
Just
says. Yeah, that was a great. I
He's
really
like-
enjoyed that episode because we finally got to talk about art and like stuff.
I haven't listened to the latest, but I'm a religious listener, so I
You
will be
should. It's
listening
really
to
good.
that
It
one.
was-
I've listened to all of them. I
it
just
was
haven't
awesome.
gotten to it.
We had their art director on, not Brian, David. Well, we called him Coob because his last name's hard to remember. But anyway, that guy was great. Super cool insight on what it takes to like start from Greg's brain to paper to like let's render out these creatures and these zones, and it was really fun. Great episode. These are all good points. I think we're about done with it, but I will just stamp this at the back end of this. You brought up Hello Games and No Man's Sky and its ability to just continually improve despite never asking us once for more money. Like they just made
John Murray even posted a meme about that I retweeted.
Yeah, the
It's
stop,
a
I
meme
have
of
money.
Sean Murray bursting the door, and the person he's invading is like, "Please, I'll give you my money."
Yeah.
He's like, "Guess what, boys? It's free update time."
Yeah. Like that kind of thing is crazy to me, but it also is a very specific kind of vision that works. It's working for them, and it doesn't involve a bunch of skeeve, you know? It's just do this thing. Play this game, buy it once. Right now it's on a huge sale, so if you've been waiting this long, there's no reason not to get it. It's like $23 right now. And play one of the coolest games ever that launched terrible, and then you just saw really hardworking people. That game was built by 4 people, I found out to start with. There were 4 people on staff that made that.
I feel like it's
initial
borderline a prosecutable crime if someone asks you, "Is there a space exploration game I should play?" and you suggest Star Citizen and not No Man's Sky. I think that you should go to jail for that. Like it's just becoming criminal. It's
Mhm.
it's the reverse Star Citizen. It's like, let's launch it and we'll never have another SKU in the history of our company again for this product line. Meanwhile, the other company's like never launches their game and has had 500 million products for it.
You think we're anywhere near a time where we can definitively say what Starfield is gonna be?
Star Citizen, you mean?
Sorry, I keep saying Starfield. Star Citizen. Like, is there ever a day where we go, all right, it's finally out. John, where's your $59? Let's go buy it. Let's co-op.
Don't bring me into more Star Citizen talk. If they ever make that game, I've got so many apology letters. People are keeping track, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they might launch it at some point, but it is.
But remember, it's not about them putting out a 1.0 Star Citizen. It has to also meet the expectations that were originally put on that video game. They have to release a quality product that at least somewhat reflects what they said they were going to be making.
Or the additional.
I'm not gonna apologize just because somebody put a 1.0 on a patch number. Like, it's gotta be something.
But with
I think
every year that goes by the way, they run the risk of making that worse for them because that expectation, the initial expectation of what that game could be, I think is reachable. But every year that you don't have a game, more false expectation is laid on top of it. You haven't even achieved the first expectation. Like, I don't know how they pull themselves out of it. It's a weird way to get rich and not have shit to show for it. I mean, I know we're gonna see, thing.
And I think a lot of people are gonna demand my apology, and I'm gonna be honest. I will be completely fair with my opinion of what comes out. And if I feel I need to apologize for it, and I have a feeling it's going to make a lot of people mad if I turn around and go, yeah, it wasn't worth apologizing for. This is still trash. So, but we'll cross that anger bridge when we get there. With No Man's Sky, I think the game that it is the game they always wanted to make. Like, I've always been a little sympathetic to No Man's Sky because, again, you said they start with 4 people. And I get the impression that they just wanted to make something cool and keep building on it and just iterate and make a small indie game. The problem is they made something so compelling in that first teaser that people wouldn't leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And they were still trying to figure it out. But all people wanted to talk about is, when is it coming out? And I think it was a victim of kind of what might end up happening with games like Star Citizen and others, where people just started building their own fantasy on what it was going to be. And I think it led to them saying more and more, despite not wanting to say more and more. And I think between fan expectation and them just kind of spitballing ideas that they weren't sure on, I think they created an expectation that could never be delivered on.
Yeah.
Now, I think they're making the game they want to make.
Yeah, I think so too.
consistently.
I think so too. And you can
Good
feel,
on 'em.
yeah, good on them for that. It's not only the right thing to do, it's been a fun thing to watch. I mean, they're nearing 10 years now. It'll be, well, I guess it's 8 years. In 2016 or 2026, it'll be 10 years. And that's just wild to me. But I just wanted to point out something funny that happened in the chat. I do not want to let our funny chat people know that I don't notice your comedy. All right. Ken from Chicago said, Star Citizen is approaching 1.0 in the year's time. And Derek followed up with 1.0 billion. Yeah, that's probably closer to the truth. I think they're going to make, I mean, they have $700 million. You guys, do you know how much money that is? You know what we could do with that?
Well, it feels like they've made their money. Like,
I love
I
it.
could do a lot with it.
I mean, I just want like one of those million. That'd be fine.
you could feed your
I'd
John could feed his bloodthirst.
I'd ask
for
Sean
years.
Murray, how much money how many millions do you need to change No Man's Sky to just call it Star Citizen and call it a day?
Oh my gosh, dude. Can you imagine the trolling that would happen? I mean, they have kept pretty I mean, they haven't gone there, right? They've been willing to make fun of themselves, but they haven't really gone there. But I think Sean Murray should go there. It's time.
They're just doing their own thing. It doesn't need to. We don't need to get into more tribalism with this.
Well, yeah, they just released an update called Citizen. Right?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, is
dude.
that true? Yeah, that is true.
Do they have something called Citizen?
I don't think they have an update. I said that's what they would. Have to
would
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Or release an update called Star, and then release an update called Citizen.
It's a 2-part patch.
All right. Sign me up for this. This is a great idea. All right. Well, let's move into the games we played this week because those are always fun to talk about. All righty. Let's dive into a couple of these. Let's talk about shared play this week. Once again, John and I playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. And the reason I know that John's in there is because when I log in, his name pops up, says John is playing Final Fantasy XIV.
That's me.
Here's the good news. I'll just tell you where I'm at. I've been pretty obsessed, and Teddy Blunderhose, my main character in the game.
Apologies to all the Teddy Blunderhose.
Teddy Blunderhose has had a hell of a week because Teddy Blunderhose did two major things. Number one, Teddy Blunderhose beat Heaven's Word, at least the main base part of the expansion. I am in patch content right now, which, by the way, John had said this too, and I didn't quite believe him, but it's like that patch content does not slow down. Like, it goes hard. It got real weird real quick, and I was like, holy shit, this is not like some simple patch. It's like some hardcore stuff. But I was actually surprised when credits started rolling because I didn't realize I had ripped so fast through this because I didn't skip any story dialogue. I didn't do side quests, but I did do the occasional, plus quest because you get, shit out of that. Like, it unlocks locations and sometimes items and all that other stuff or abilities. It's how you get housing. You just have to do those weird plus ones. What are those even called? I don't know what they're called.
I don't know, like content unlock quests. I don't know if they have a fancy name, but
they're very specific.
The plus icon means it's going to unlock some game feature. It can be a bonus dungeon. It can be, it can be a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It will unlock something in the game. The transmog, is transmog unlocked through that? The ability to alter your appearance as a character, and I think the dye system is unlocked through it.
Oh, I must have done the right ones because I can dye now, and I did. Like, dye my clothes, not dye, like, perish.
Yeah.
I
can finally
dye. But then I think I unlocked the glamour system as the transmog system, right? Or no? Is that something else?
That's the transmog system.
I haven't used it. I haven't really fiddled with it, but I did. I also unlocked, I don't know, the at least the starting quest for 4 other jobs, and then played a bit of them. Nothing crazy, but a little bit of samurai, a little bit of red mage. What else? And the others I didn't do much. Oh, I unlocked Marauder, but just to have it so I could work on it one day because you got to start that at 1 with the Lancer, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, So I, peppering John all week with questions like, hey, when I unlock an extra job, what's the fastest way to level up the job? Because you basically, knock your character down to 0 or 50 if it's one of those or whatever. Anyway, all this back and forth. But then suddenly I'm like, oh, credits are rolling. Holy shit. All right, I killed the Pope God, and now I'm on to whatever's next. And so that's what happened. Teddy Blunderhose, you might think that's enough for him for the last few weeks of gameplay. He's seen everything he needs to see. But I also used we had a quest line that drops one of those free potions that lets you redesign your character.
Yeah, Fantasia.
Fantasia, that's what it's called. And I did that. And it was one of those plus quests, funny enough. So I did that thing. Or maybe it was a main story quest. I don't remember. Anyway, something at 50. And I thought, I've been looking at this big giant green guy a lot. Let's just go see what's up. It's free. These are normally $10 on the store. I'll use my free one. Let's go see. So I got into the thing, and I would like to share with everybody the brief moment. There was almost an opportunity to use this haircut, and I didn't do it. Chat room can see this. People at home, it's the dumbest pompadour in the history of video games. I've never seen a stupider haircut in my life.
It's the anime pompadour where it's
isn't,
way out in front.
Didn't somebody from the real Ghostbusters have that haircut?
The Egon character.
Egon?
Yeah.
I think so.
That color too in the real Ghostbusters.
I think I can put this on Beau's head and he looks cool. Look at that.
All right, good.
Hello,
everyone. Have you played Final Fantasy XIV?
Teddy Blunderhose.
Yep. So I changed him not only to the elf guys I always tease John about because I think they're dorky looking.
I know. This was the funniest part was that you told me this like yesterday or maybe it was the day before that, but that's following almost a week of you making fun of that race.
Yep.
So Scott's like, they're babies. They're all baby small heads with long necks.
Mm-hmm.
What a dumb race, the worst race. And like he's messaging this in our There Will Be Dungeons chat, and I was like, Scott, it's the race I play. It's the race Kyle plays. You're not gonna find any sympathy here.
Yeah.
And then cut to 2 days ago, he's like, I race changed into it.
I did. I totally did. You know why? Here's why. Because I went and started a new character, and I just thought, well, I'm just look at these guys, see what the options are. And I like to be a dude in these games. And all I'd really seen in that race was ladies. So I thought, well, let's see what we got. And I really kind of liked some of it. The haircuts were cool. You can control those ears that are a nightmare. You can make them shorter or longer or whatever. They're not as stupid as I think. I do think that when they wear helmets or helms or cloth headpieces or whatever, that they have the little pockets to hold the ears in is stupid as shit, and I hate it.
Yeah.
But fine,
it is.
whatever. And I got over it, and I made a guy with really cool hair that almost looks like you could eat his hair. It's like a real flavorful looking hair color thing going on. And it's still Teddy Blunderhose, but he has gone through a complete transformation. He's now, what are they called? Ezins or? Ellison. So he's an Ellison. Oh, you know what else helped, John? I'll admit to this. The entire Heaven's Word expansion, you're spending a ton of time around these people. Like they're big in it. And the ones in like the really cool white armor that almost looks like ceramic armor that are always hanging around the Pope and he's not called the Pope, whatever he is. The high bishop.
Yeah, I know.
Archbishop.
We all call him the Pope. It's fine. You can keep calling him the Pope.
The Archbishop
Elf
guy.
Pope. Yeah.
Elf
fine.
Pope is in there. But anyway, the everybody in that whole, anytime I'm in Ishgard doing stuff, those guys grew on me because the characterizations are cool, and I was like, these guys are kind of cool. And there was a really hardcore death of one of them, and I was like, oh man. And I just got used to them. And also, guess who makes really dopey faces during cutscenes? The big green dudes. They're dopey. So it's like someone will go, I can't believe it. I can't believe this has happened or whatever. And it'll cut to me and I'll go, like, just make this dumb face. And I hate it. So I thought, well, I don't know if it's going to be much better with these guys. So I picked a skinny elf dude, made him tall though. He's taller than everybody. And so I'm always running around. Everyone seems tiny next to me. But anyway, I like him a lot better. And I love that no one in the world noticed the change. I love that. I'm not saying the game even needs to introduce that. I understand how video games work. That's a step too far to even include it. But the fact that like Alpha No come into the room and go, "Oh, it's good to see you again, Warrior of Light. this and that.
This is a
like,
totally different person.
it's like
now.
I am like skinny, half the size of the last guy. I'm a kind of a black color. I'm no longer green. I couldn't be more different. And you're not even going to say anything, and nobody says anything.
The quest you did, because there's 2 times in the quest where you get Fantasia as a reward. One existed before, one got added with this new graphics update in case people wanted to do a race change.
Yeah.
Did the quest you do to get it, was it the one where the Lalafell wants to race change?
No, it was with who's the guy who lost his arm?
Oh yeah, Raban.
Raban. I met Raban out in his little zone there where it's all kind of Mad Maxy zone, and he was out in front of a garage door looking thing and sent me on a whole deal to get that. I didn't know there was another one. In fact, all the stuff I was looking up was like, there's only one way to get a freebie, but that's cool. You can get another one, I guess.
No, there's one in Ul'dah where you go outside of it sends you outside of the Gladiators district. Basically, there's this weird merchant that's like, oh, I have a client that wants to come see me. Go check on him, and I need to hear from him. And it's this little Lalafell that's like, I want to be a gladiator in the arena, and I demand to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
You give him a Fantasia, and he comes back as one of those massive, like, hulking behemoth guys, and he's like, yes, thank you for everything you did for me.
Wow.
And everybody's like, do we know him? Who is this guy?
Wait,
And
is
so
it
they
new,
kind of
is it that lion race or whatever? They're new, right? With something.
No, I think it's what you used to play, the Rogadin. I think he comes back as a Rogadin.
Oh, okay. The lion people are new with
I
this.
think he might change gender too, actually,
Oh.
if I remember correctly. But
That's awesome.
it's just very funny to me. Like, it's the only time that they've acknowledged that, hey, there's a potion that completely changes who somebody is.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an interesting experience because I couldn't be more different looking. But I also dyed all my armor. I did this like gold dye on all this like warrior gear, and I think I look really good. I also got way better at tanking with people, like actual other human beings. I've learned my class. I got good, GUD.
You started to get into some tougher fights because
Yeah.
you did send me a message saying like, hey, I'm not clearing this fight right now.
That thing was rocking me, dude. And I'm also really hesitant. I'm one of those players where like video games you should be able to figure this out without going to find a guide or looking it up. But I don't know why I do that because it's an MMO. It's what you do. There's tons of data. The point is to go online and find more shit. That's always been true. It's been true of every MMO since EverQuest. So I don't know why I hold back, but I held back forever. I'm like, well, I'll ask John. What does he think of this fight? And you started describing some mechanic stuff, and I went, and then you gave me a video, and I'm like, I guess I'll watch this. And I did. And I jumped to the part where I was having trouble, and it was this one mechanic that I hadn't experienced before for some reason. I don't know why. It just hasn't been in a dungeon. But it was chains that attach me to other players, kind of a tether. And in WoW, I think I did something like this, but I just kind of forgot about it. And the mechanic was, you're all going to be up in the center there to avoid these donut blasts. And then you need to all separate. As soon as that blast happens, get the F out of there, because the longer the chains are on you, the more these debuffs are just going to suck you dry. You're going to be dead. And that's what was getting me before. I didn't know these chains were happening. I didn't see them. And the way they are with names, like, I don't know if you've looked at the actions or abilities list for like the Red Mage. Gibberish.
You should check out Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
It's in a completely different language.
You're absolutely right. Like both of those. Then it's funny. The two that I've been fiddling with the most when I'm not mainlining are those two. And it's really just a lesson in trying to remember what color did a certain thing sometimes, because these names are ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I figured out the chain thing finally. And really, you just have to run away from the other player. He has to do the same. And when you do, you live, and it's fine. And I finished that fight, and it was not a problem. And then there was a fight with the Pope, and that was not a problem.
That fight is cool.
That fight is very cool. It is really cool. And those Asians, they deserve what they got. Is all I'm saying.
They know what they did, and they deserved it.
Yeah, it was really fun though. I liked that a lot, and I really liked. And that was with people, and I tanked and did good. I didn't get anybody killed. Yeah. And I knew how to mitigate, and I knew how to, I was doing, those games aren't as obvious about how to pull aggro and hold it for tanks. it's not, you can't just spam an AoE and have everybody go, oh, I better come fight you. It doesn't work that way. So you have to juggle some stuff.
Mostly, you can. You just have to make sure you have tank stance on.
Oh, see, that's the other thing I did, and I forgot. I didn't have tank stance on.
Yeah, if you don't have tank stance on, yes, aggro is very much a problem. If you have tank stance on, aggro's pretty easy.
These concepts are so different than my 20 years of WoW that it really throws me. And it's been nice to have somebody like John, a resource like John, where I can just, pipe in at night and go, hey, what's the deal with this thing?
I don't know. You probably have a place in WoW Classic. Nobody wants to play a protection tank. They all play DPS warriors as tanks.
Oh, that's true. I mean, that was always still a problem with WoW, though, right? Like, people don't want to.
Well, it's still one of those things where it's like that's the advice you get given. But of course, you should play protection warriors tank. It's obviously way easier to hold threat.
Yeah.
But,
plus, you're trying to.
It's got to be a superstar. That's why it's just a joke. Very.
No,
inside baseball and WoW, but yeah,
that's all good. But yeah, I'm really enjoying myself. I've been rather obsessed. I'm now moving on to the next expansion after this patch content from Heaven's Word, and yeah, I'm happy to have done it. It was really fun. I'll say this about Heaven's Word: it is a marked difference in story flow and what is actually happening and how much voiceover there is. That really improves the game. And it gives voice to characters that prior, like I was talking about Estinian with you last week. I find him just annoying until he started talking, until I heard him. Because otherwise he's just sort of prancing around. He's got the legs in front of the other one's stance I hate. Just annoying. Just anime snobbery. I hate it. And then he starts talking finally, and I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. Like, he's got this Game of Thrones accent. He's like a badass. He's so hell-bent on justice, and it turns all red because he got blood on him. And now he's even cooler. And then a thing happens I don't want to spoil that's even more intense. I'm sure I'm going to have to deal with soon. And
yeah, you're probably going to have to deal with that.
Yeah. And that really fleshed him out, like, in a big way. So every time they have a spoken section, I am way in. And it's making the reading times better, because I'm like, all right, they've established that guy better. Now I can read this from that same guy later. There's no voice here, but I know who I'm talking about. There's truer, more complete characterization now. And the first Realm Reborn, for all of its strengths, didn't have that. It was very spotty.
Yeah.
When it came to that. And I understand why and all this and why you don't go back and fix all those things. But if I've got more of that to look forward to, I mean, like, I'm really looking forward to it, because the story's really fun. I'm enjoying it. Even when they do super dumb anime shit, like this Warrior of Darkness thing. Like, it's fine. And I'm sure it goes places, but I see it and I go, oh, because I'm the Warrior of Light, we got to have a Warrior of Darkness.
Yeah.
So they're just so, like, some of that stuff's just so on the nose, but they earn it because the rest of it really holds together well. It's all very glued nicely.
Have you seen the Warrior of Darkness yet?
Yes. First I saw him at the end of the credits on the moon.
Uh-huh.
And then later we have had a confrontation in the wilderness with my crew and his crew.
Did you notice that he looks like the guy that's in all the cinematics?
Yes, that's the guy. I assume that's the guy. So I don't know what happens here, or I assume the way this story goes, because I know how these stories go. It's going to be very adversarial at first, but then we're going to find out we're really just two ends of the same candle. And we're going to all have to come together and take on this ether ain't going to solve itself, all that shit.
Who knows, man?
I just have a feeling.
It's probably just going to be silly anime tropes, I'm sure.
But I'm having a blast, though. It's so much fun.
But yeah, Heaven's Ward is when it really started to register for me. I mean, the end of a Realm Reborn was like a shock, because like up to that point, it's all a lot of like, it's Alphino being like, I'm going to make global police. It's going to be such a good idea. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, wow, is that really that's what we're doing, huh? We're just going to make global police. Okay.
Not only that, Alphino's like, I want to bring them all back together and do it again. Like, basically, he failed at it once. Now he wants to do it again. And I'm like, you're such a twerp, though. You got your book on your back. You're just a weenie. But he's somehow, I don't know.
Like it's one of those things where, all of a sudden at the end, you realize that the story's paying attention and that like it's been idealistic,
Yeah.
but it's not afraid to go, yeah, idealism doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And like the end of ARR is a real eye-opening experience with that. Heavensward, for me, the moment where I was like, oh, you know what? I think there's really something to the story in this game is the time when you and Stinian and Alphino and what's her name? Ysayle?
Uh,
I always call her Iceheart.
Talking about the right, long hair. They call her Lady Iceheart during the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lady Iceheart, but she's got a regular name. Like you say, isn't it Ysayle?
Oh, I wish it was regular. It's probably something much closer to some unpronounceable hogwash.
Anyway, Iceheart, Estinian, Alphino, and you sit down at a campfire.
Yeah.
And you just sort of have a heart-to-heart about like, okay, chat's saying it is Ysayle. It's been a long time since I played Heavensward, yes.
Yeah.
And they all sit down and they basically just have a heart-to-heart about like their philosophies and stuff. And like they kind of argue a little bit, but they also kind of find where they're similar and all of that. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so good. It's just a quiet moment. Like nothing crazy or big is happening. It's just these people that all should hate each other, but they're all working towards the same goal at the moment, sitting down and kind of having it out. And that stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought that the whole thing reminded me of like what you would do in D&D for resting.
Yeah.
And you would flesh out some, like when Beau would run our game, it'd be like, all right, this is a chance for you guys to talk. And also, we're of course going to, refresh a bunch of spell slots and all that. But more, it was like this moment of rest and looking back and now looking forward. And that really captured that. It's great. It's very good. Like it's got all these trappings and things of an MMO. And some of them are very WoW trapping ish. You've said this a bunch of times. Like it's the most WoW MMO out there, WoW accessible MMO out there, and also couldn't be more different than WoW in many of its ways. And I'm getting to where I'm under. It's not hard now to get in there and figure that out and enjoy it for what it is. It's easy. It's easy to say now because I just don't have the affinity for some of the other titles, but it's probably my favorite Final Fantasy game, which is a weird thing to say because they've been making those games since the NES era, but it's just, there's so much possibility here. I'm having a blast. I don't know why it took this long, but I'm really enjoying it. So, well,
and that's the other funny thing is, you've taken a couple stabs at the game, and they've almost always been sprints.
Yeah.
Like, let me see how far I can get. Let me just see what I can do. I'm gonna play. I burned out. Play. I burned out.
Right.
And finally, I was like, hey, try playing it like an RPG. Play it slow, play it on your free time, don't rush. Just say, hey, I don't need to be at end game. There's nothing at end game I have to see right now. You'll get there when you get there and just go do whatever you have to do. This is the fastest you've ever gone through it.
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah.
You're taking your time, but it's caused you to go through the game at kind of a crazy speed. I can't believe you're already out of Heaven's
Well, it's
Ward.
because it's almost all I've played. and I'm taking it to bed with me. So I play it on my Steam Deck way too late.
Yeah.
And it plays so good on there. Like it's an amazing way to play it. I love it on there. And so I don't have that normal, like, well, I'm not gonna be in front of my PC for after this when I leave and go to bed or whatever. Instead, I'm up way too late playing it on there and crinking my neck, and it's not been good in that way. But yeah, I don't know, whatever it's trying to do, it finally did it. And yeah, I'm feeling it right now. Just really enjoying it. And who knows? I mean, I don't know if I get into Storm. What's the new one? Storm, not new one, but the next one,
Stormblood.
Blood. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
it's a Stormborn.
Stormblood has a slow start.
I think
a lot of the expansions have slow starts.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. Heavensward, you kind of dive right in. It's pretty quick or pretty eventful right away. So this will be interesting, but I'm fine with that. So far, I've really enjoyed it.
The biggest issue with Stormblood, like I really like Stormblood overall. But I think the biggest problem that it has as an expansion is that so all the expansions kind of do this. Heaven's Ward did this. It's like, okay, you're going to a new area, so let's do a little story to get you there. Let's do a little story to show you around town. Let's kind of get you familiar with the people and the characters and the places, and then let's ease you into the adventure. Stormblood does that twice back to back.
Yeah.
And so you get this slow intro and then kind of a cool moment,
Yeah.
but then they do another slow intro and then easing into the adventure. And so instead of like things picking up on hour, 3 or 4, it's like things are finally starting to pick up at hour 8.
Right.
Like you've been going for a while, and it's a bit of a slow start, but man, does it get it builds to some really cool stuff. And the patch content, you're going to notice kind of the cycle. It's what you're on right now, which is if you can almost divide the patch content in half. The first little bit of the story is concluding the expansion you're on, and the second half of the patch content is introducing the expansion you're going into. So I think you're still in the middle of wrapping up Heaven's Word right now, and then you'll do a couple of things that introduce Stormblood, and then you'll be off into Stormblood proper.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's good.
It is good.
I'll just say my stuff's real quick. The first raid for Dawn Trail came out. I did those fights. They were incredible. I don't think this is a spoiler. I think this was literally in their material, but if you are concerned about what the first raid is, it's basically WWE wrestling in a raid.
Really? You've been sending screenshots, and I don't even know what game you're playing half the time I see those shots. I'm like, what? Where?
Yeah, I sent you one where it's just a hulking behemoth of a guy charging my character in a wrestling ring, basically, and I was like, this is so good. I'm so excited about this, and I genuinely think that Vince McMahon might be the big bad of this entire story arc. I don't know. There's definitely an element of like whoever's in charge of this whole federation might be a bad guy. Definitely seems to be the undertones. I don't know that, so I don't think that's a spoiler to say, but I'm digging it. It's my vibe. It feels very, I've seen people say that it feels very like anytime an anime does a tournament, it feels like one of those. It feels like Street Fighter, it feels like wrestling, it just feels like all those things combined into it. And the fights are absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. I almost sent you, and then I was worried that it was just going to scare you off of the game altogether. But I almost sent you a strategy guide for the like second fight that you do. Just to be like, Scott, I want you to just appreciate where the mechanics of this game and the raid fights are going, because it genuinely gets into a spot where like you get little hearts above your head, a little heart meter like Zelda, and you have to prevent it from filling up, but there are moves that are guaranteed to fill it up, and there are moves that might fill it up, and you're trying to avoid being charmed. And like it's absolutely insane, but the fights were so good. And the music was cool. I died a ton, which has actually been really nice about the end game stuff. I like that the fights are challenging. I've heard some rumblings on the internet that there are people that think it's too challenging. I think this is actually a really sweet spot where it feels like you can beat it, but you might die. You might wipe. You might have some problems here and there, or you might have, which we had on one of the bosses, which honestly was one of the easiest bosses, but just something about the timing. Like people couldn't hit where they needed to be. And we had to do the clutch healer LB3, which is like all we had left was a healer alive. And they used the full 3 limit break, which rezzed the entire raid. So for those of you who don't know, that cinematic that WoW did where Anduin raises the entire alliance, like that's actually a move in Final Fantasy. Like that's actually a thing that sometimes happens in the raids. And that happened, and that's how we ended up beating it. But
they really are these moments of I just have to give credit to the game, because just when you think you're a little stale on the nods and the about face and walk out of a scene and the same music happening again, And even in the fights, just kind of like, okay, 2D, here's a 2D sub boss. Let's deal with him, I guess. And then they'll do something freaking epic. And you'll go, oh my gosh, I'm going to keep playing this all night long. That's a weird thing. I'm not used to that. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
You're getting to one of the biggest ones for me. Like, it was the start of me having 800 screenshots of Final Fantasy on my computer because I was just like, this is so cool. Print screen, print screen, print screen, print screen, print screen. Like, just nonstop because I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. You'll know. We'll probably talk about it when you get there. You're getting close, I think. So we'll see.
I will let you know. Let's talk about Elden Ring. Beau, you're full in. You're all in. I did play it. I poked in.
Muted, I think.
Oh, is Beau muted? He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
I poked in a lot.
Sorry. Okay. I'm here. I went to the washroom and I came back and didn't unmute. Sorry.
It's not a problem. I poked into Elden Ring 4 times, died quickly, and then played Final Fantasy. So I'm not done. I'm just not there. I know you're there, though. And it sounds like John is also
it sounds like
there.
you got a main game on the go. So
at the minute, at the moment, yeah.
This game is main game status. I think it's kind of hard to make this a side game. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, whenever you're into it and you can play.
Yeah, for sure. So how's your time in there going?
Well, I've pretty much done 100% almost all of the base game at this point. I just have to do, the last few bosses leading up to finishing the game, so I'm pretty much done in there. So what remains is the expansion content, which I gotta say it's cool, but it's a little annoying how like in the base game when there's like a side path, you got like, oh, I can go this way or I can go that way.
Yeah,
you try to guess which way is not going to be the main critical path, because then the side path you'll play for a little bit and find a cool item and then backtrack. Sometimes it goes deeper, but generally speaking, you can separate the main path from the side path, and the side path has like limited, will come to an end at some point.
Right.
Some occasionally produces more side path, but in the expansion, I was like, I'm getting to this place called the Black Keep.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and there's a boss to fight right away. I beat the boss in one shot. Sorry, I just gotta throw that in. I like. Nicely
done. Did you really? You beat it in one
no,
attempt?
Yeah, I did. But like, I've turned into One Punch Man, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
So I have some gameplay footage that I linked to, which shows.
Take a look here.
Which shows the One Punch in action. I'm not streaming on YouTube as much these days, so it is on Twitch. I know it makes it hard for you to show people.
No, it's totally fine. I can make it.
On the subject of the base game, I had a rematch with Melania, and I'm proud to say it only took me 5 tries this time instead of 50.
Nice.
So
well done.
That is what the footage is of the winning fight with Melania.
That's about what it took me the first go with Melania.
And I did it with One Punch. Now, if you watch, so I'll just jump over the One Punch before I bring up the other point. And I know, John, I saw your note in the show notes about how you got this too, because I know you dropped into my chat saying, "Why do you not have weapons?" And I'm like, "Well, in the expansion, in Yakuza tradition, a weird old man says, 'Come fight me, and I'll teach you my martial arts.' And so you fight him, and you get martial arts instead of a weapon. And the ash on it, that's the special attack that you can swap out called Palm Strike." Literally is just you cranking up your fist and doing a really powerful punch.
Oh my gosh, you're just wrecking this guy. Holy shit.
Yeah, and this is this is the hardest boss in the base game. Yeah. So I mean, a pretty high level still and all that, but yeah, no, it chunks her for a ton. So get out of the flower. Yeah. It chunks her for a ton. I shouldn't watch while I'm talking about this. But all I do is this move where I just like crank up just a big old, like a cartoon where you just like winding up like Bugs Bunny winding up his fist and just punching. But the actual martial arts animations on the other attacks are pretty cool. You do this cool like roundhouse jump kick that can be 2 roundhouses if you're dual wielding the martial art, and I love it. And I've basically gotten rid of all the other weapons, and I'm just one punching my way to victory at this point. And it's fun.
You're still
So I
casting
like-
Zeus bolts, I noticed.
Yeah, lightning bolts are sick. They just look damn cool to make those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got that in the expansion. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right.
It's
Look
cool.
at
Yeah,
you.
and
I
I did.
highly
I saw Beau running around with this, and I was like, I asked him in chat. I was like, "Where'd you get martial arts? Where'd you get the fist?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "I learned it from this." And Beau was very kind. He goes, the guy's right around here," and he pulled up his map and showed me where the dude was, and it was like right down the road from where I was when I stopped playing last.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like,
So-
I can get in and get this immediately. So I went in and like challenged the guy to a fight and beat him up and got the martial arts. And then I went on a little bit of a rampage because I was like, I need to upgrade it. But I didn't have all my ball bearings to easily buy upgrade materials, and I didn't want to farm it. So then I went and started gathering ball bearings, all while punching people. It's an awesome weapon. I
Yeah.
had a great time with it. It's
basically-
really good.
It basically turns the game into like, I feel like Batman. Like if you look at, I'm wearing plate, like I'm a martial artist, but I'm wearing plate mail. Like
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
That is so
Like,
weird. Yeah.
but I feel like I'm Batman because I got a cape, and it's literally the Arkham Knight series where I just like, punch things until they go down. Like, but it's enjoyable. So that's
great.
I don't know. That's a cool weapon. I like it. It's fun. It's definitely a change of pace.
So it's an
not
actual
as
weapon.
dodgy.
It's not just your bare fist. You wearing
You
something.
equip it like a weapon, but it's called the dry leaf arts, and
Okay.
it just looks like a fist, and it's just martial arts. There's no actual weapon. Yeah,
Okay.
because there are fist weapons. Like I got like a rotten hand,
Yeah.
and that's a weapon. Poisons
Sure.
people. But it's
If I,
not
if
martial
I had
arts.
a
It's
if I had a
just
rotten
fist
hand,
weapon.
I feel like people would run away from me from my rotten hand.
Yeah. Well, the guys in this game don't run away from you. They aggro as hell. So you gotta slap them with the rotten hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, the expansion content, it wasn't a complaint, but it's why my progress has been so slow. Is in the base game you might check out, okay, which is the critical path, which is the side path, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always want to try to go down the side path first, get the items, and then I'll go back to the main path. And I know you're still in the early goings of the game, so maybe that's not immediately evident to you yet. What's a critical path and what's main path, but
Sure.
you start to see like the matrix once you've played the game for a bit and understand its logic. So in this one, like I go to this place called the Black Keep, and I'm like, there's a weird place to go. This is clearly the critical path that way, but there's a weird little place, and so I'm exploring all this weird little place, and I find this underground area that has it's where the moat of the keep is, and I go in and I go down a little bit, and what do I find but a damn coffin?
Oh, geez.
There's one thing I know about coffins.
Dang it.
And I was like, but this isn't in some like the coffins in the base game are like huge moments on the critical path. I'm like, this is a side thing. Where does this coffin lead to? Well, the coffin leads to another part of the verticality of the map. And then I'm like, oh, well, certainly this is only going to go so far. Nope. It splits into like 18 different directions. I played for like 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, I'm still not done. And I was doing the Black Keep. So this is like some side journey, and I'm now like dicking around in some other part of the map, like way into some other stuff, but nowhere, because I wanted to, it's fun when it leads up to the boss, right? But this isn't boss stuff. It's like I call it like a geographical charting.
Yeah.
When you're in the game, you're just trying to map out like what's where, and I mark them on the map, and then I go hit them up when I'm ready to start doing catacombs or ever jails or whatever it is the content is. And so I was like, that's the last I played, and then I started playing another game, which I'll talk about in a second. It sort of took me away from Elden Ring a little bit. It's still fun. I'm still working my way through it slowly. I really like the journey. I'm savoring it. I think a lot of folks finish the game within 100 hours, 150. I'm on 300 hours at this point.
Jeez.
And I'm just not in a rush to finish it. Like once it's done, I don't plan on playing it again. So, I like to look around. The environments are so sweet to look at. They look really cool. The lore is weird and interesting. I don't know. And like I spend a lot of time like napping while I play. Like if I'm streaming, I don't nap on stream, but like you see the chair I'm in, like it's very comfy, and
Yeah, you're way
I'll play
chill
for-
looking. Look at you.
I'll play for a few hours and I'll be like, I'm just gonna take a nap, and then and I leave the game running. Like so, the 300 hours is definitely like there's sleep time involved in that, and Yeah, nothing like a good. I don't know if it was just my age or whatever,
Beau
but like
gets hit by a sunbeam and just
yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, just the mood strikes me, and I'm like, oh, I'll just nap for an hour, and then I'll make some. Like when I'm making dinner, I'll leave the game running too. Like I just don't see a reason to shut. I don't. It's the whole computer, so I might get messages and stuff. I don't shut the whole thing off, and I leave the game running.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's all I got to say about that. I think, unless anyone has some questions.
John, any thoughts? Or I guess you popped in here.
Oh, you've been playing too, right, John?
yeah, I've played too a little bit. Not a lot. Mostly it's been Final Fantasy, but I did just realize we do have one more shared play this week.
Oh,
Because both Beau and I played, and Scott, you mentioned that you have the intention of playing No Man's Sky.
oh yeah. In fact, I installed it and got a little time in it today, but not enough to like really.
Yeah, I
give
played about an
impressions.
hour. Like
Yeah.
it barely counts. But I saw the. Did people know? Did we should? Tell
Well,
them?
we should
Like,
talk about it. So they put out this update, kind of out of nowhere. I don't know if anyone saw it coming, but it is a part one of a two-part update. It's called Worlds, and it is an overhaul of the planets and all of the graphical effects on the planets, the flora and fauna, the creatures on the planets, the clouds, the skies, like big overhaul. And it looks like if you look at their intro video, if you squint, you think you're looking at their Light No Fire footage. And sure enough, I saw a thing with at least Sean and maybe one other guy being interviewed and talking about it. And they were saying this is exactly what that is. This is them rolling some of the tech and some of the new stuff they're doing with their new game. They're rolling it back down to their active game because it fits. It's a good place for it. And I am so far very impressed. I've not been out of the same. I went to the same system I was already in, and I just was like, well, let's just go look at these planets. And they're a huge update. The water alone is insane.
it's like Sea of Thieves, like level water, right? Like
Yeah,
it looks
it's
pretty,
really nice,
like,
and it's affected by weather, so it gets choppy and high cresty, white rapid type looking waves.
You can
when-
land your ship on water now too,
Yep.
which I know is a small detail, but it's so aggravating on those water planets when you're like, I want to land, and you got to find the thinnest slice of land to go land on.
Yeah, and the creatures are more diverse. I saw a thing that was just made out of leaves walking around.
I saw something that looked like a tadpole,
Mm-hmm.
but with an elephant head flying through the air.
That's
It
awesome.
was great. I loved it.
That's
it was
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah,
I think this like update is the one I've been waiting for because I logged in on my 100 plus hours character, and all my bases were annihilated.
oh no.
Like everything. Well, I'm like, no, this is fine. This is a good reason. Like they've done such a dramatic change to everything that like, and I'm like on some weird shard of a parallel universe. I'm like, oh, maybe it's time to start over, start the adventure over. I'm tied to my ship because it's an S tier ship, but obviously there are tons of new ships in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's time for a new adventure in the No Man's Sky world.
Yeah.
This gave me a real reason. I'm almost like, should I wait for the part 2 or should I start now?
Well, and
Like,
if they'd
I'm
given us
like,
they didn't give us a TBA to be announced. Yeah, they didn't tell us the date. Is what I'm trying to say for the part 2. They did
Right.
say 2 parts. Someone in the chat says I thought there were 3. As far as I know, they've only said 2. I'm sure they have more content after that because that's what these guys seem to do. But it is whenever that is. I don't even know what that probably includes. They did say that they're introducing a Starship Troopers mode that is
the new seasonal thing that they're gonna do is very much based on Starship Troopers.
yeah, which
So
probably
I don't know what that's gonna be.
hell diverish in some ways.
Bugs.
Yeah, there's a new mech with a flamethrower arm, some cool stuff like that. But it's I can just tell, just detail wise and sort of just I don't know, just what you notice when you first pop in. It's impressive. It's like whoa, this planet was pretty barren and ugly when I was here last. Same planet, just now there's steam coming up through these cracks. Even the desert crappy planets, there's like sparks coming out of lava vents. There's fog banks that you have to kind of get through on the ground.
even the trees look more interesting, like just like the fauna and flora, like everything. It all comes together to make like really striking biomes that feel more and more different every time you explore planets. I think that's always the allure is you spend some time on a planet and you're like, I think it's time to visit a new one.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
you always sort of want to keep pushing forward and visiting the planets, and I mean, that's why I say, like, I'm so, like, stuck now in, like, an old mindset on this, like, older character that I'm like, it's definitely time to, like, repivot and replay again. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. Did you get a chance to play or just installed?
I would say probably about the same as you. I still had it installed from the last free update that made me reinstall. But I basically started over. The first planet I was on is enough that made me go, wait, is the new update live? Because the planet I started on looked very similar to a lot of the planets I had seen before. But then it had me take off and land somewhere else, and that planet, almost the second I landed on, I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah.
And then they wanted me to build a base, but the planet they wanted me to build a base on sucked. So I took back off again and was like, "I gotta go find a good planet." And I found a planet that was listed as a paradise planet. I was like, "Let me go check that out." And sure enough, that planet was really nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is where I shall build my." Little hut
and barely visit ever again. Sure.
And yeah, the water looked great, and the world looked awesome, and I saw cool little elephant tadpoles, and was like, wow, there's some new stuff here. I kind of dig this.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just cool to think that they're running into milestones on their new game and going, we could just some of this stuff we can port backwards to the other thing and make it better. And I don't know what it is about this company, but I love them. There are only 45 people working there right now. Like I used
Light no fire.
Or light no fire. What'd I say?
No, it's fine. I was just saying, like, I just thinking about it, and it looks so exciting.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Because it's a multiplayer kind of. I think it's more multiplayer focused. No, the hard thing about No Man's Sky is just like, I've never really I did some multiplayer, but it's so.
It's not
know.
the same.
I just feel like this next one's going to be a little more focused on that kind of stuff. So.
Definitely more co-op-y and stuff, like real-time co-op-y in the new one. But it would be really funny if they just kept making strides on the new one and then going, well, this would fit in No Man's Sky. Let's roll this back over there. And then eventually they're just like, I don't know why we're making this new game. We already made it over here. It's just in space. So
just put that planet in No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And,
I feel like Light No Fire is just the No Man's Sky tech, but just one planet.
It is. It's just a single planet.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a single planet.
With a 1-to-1 square footage of like a planet.
Yeah.
So, like it's
huge.
That's the part that's like very intriguing, right? Like it's just, will that feel full? Will there be too many people, or will it be hard to run into people? I don't know.
And that it's not going to be just one like biome. It's not, Star Wars planet of like, this one's the desert, this one's radiation, this one's the, like, it's going to be like, oh, there's continents and an Arctic area and a desert area and like jungle
the community
area
effort. Like there'll be a Google Maps, but for the planet, like how is that going to work?
Yeah.
Is the planet going to shift? Like, because it seems a little disappointing if like it becomes mapped, then we know where everything is and it's discovered. But will they do things to make the biome shift so that you can't rely on the maps forever? Like I don't know. I just wonder about that stuff.
Don't know either. It's going to be
I don't
fascinating.
know, but if it's like No Man's Sky where you don't really get to pick where you start, I get dropped in the desert, I'm be so mad.
Welcome to your desert game.
It's like, here you go. You're going to start in the damn desert and be like, gosh.
They'll probably have options to move around. Like they had code. You could find codes to move around through the galaxy in No Man's Sky. So
yeah, it's a cool game, man. Just gets better. All right. Well, there's that. Let's move on to what we played individually. I will rip through these. I mentioned it last week. I just didn't have a lot of time to play it. But Shatterproof had gifted me a game called Crab Champions. I know John also got gifted this game.
Yes, also by Shatterproof. So thank you.
He's awesome. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Crab Champions, I did get time to play it. That game is rad. It's like, I don't even know what to compare it to. Some of it feels like my old Quake days. Some of it feels like Risk of Rain 2 sort of objectives, trying to unlock stuff and do kind of the roguelike thing. It's wild. It's so weird to me. I don't know how they made this decision, but to land on, hey, it needs to be a crab shooting machine guns and shit. How do you do that? Like, where did that come from? Why did you land on that? it doesn't kind of matter because it actually works really well. The controls incredibly well. It's really snappy, really satisfying just to blow up other creatures and stuff. And I'm not super far into it, but I think Crab Champions, I can now see why it has an what's the word? Incredible.
Unrelentingly positive.
Yeah, unrelentingly positive reviews on Steam or whatever it is. Overwhelmingly, that's the word I was looking
Yeah,
for.
it is overwhelming. Damn, people really like this game, huh?
Yeah, it
It's
just seems...
It's just a meme.
Yeah, you just look at the front of it and you just go, it's a crab shooting shit. And then you play it and you go, oh, this is like a legit shooter. This could be anything. It didn't have to be a crab. It could have been a car. It could have been a dude. It could have been whatever, and it would have felt good. So,
Like half the reviews posted too just say crab thumbs up.
yeah.
That's all.
I mean, it is a little memey on that front and probably didn't hurt them, but it's actually fun and very well
Yeah,
made.
but if it was a piece of shit, nobody'd be stoked about it. So it's clearly, I mean, I'm watching it. You move around, you shoot. It looks like Risk of Rain, like a lot actually.
Yeah, it's that's what it reminded me of the most probably because it is a roguelike
It's not
in
a
a lot of ways.
PvP game because calling it something Champions makes me think like, oh, it's for we're doing
There is
but
PvP in it, but it's not the main focus of the game. So you can do some of that. I haven't tried it. I don't want to get my ass handed to me because I'm sure I will. But boy, I got to quit looking up crap champions. That's a very different thing. Crab champions.
Yeah, that guy you were talking about earlier is probably in that one.
Yeah, no kidding, right? It gets really hard very quickly. And not very quickly, I shouldn't say that. It's a nice ramp up. It's actually the opposite of what I'm saying. But you kind of get taken off guard because you're just kicking ass. You're like, man, I'm blowing everything up. This place is full of shitty worms and bad crabs, and I'm better than they are. And then they start kicking your ass, and you're like, oh, geez. And then you want to go back again and do it again. It's got that just one more time kind of vibe. It's a lot like that Robo thing I talked about a couple weeks ago. RoboQuest, very similar kind of keep going. There's treasure chests where you get perks and better weapons and all that stuff. It's rad. It's cool. Crab Champions. Get it. Catch it. Unreal Engine 5 for freaking Crab Champions. Also played... Oh, I'm so excited about this one. Did you guys... Either of you like Jet Set Radio? Or here in the States, it was called Jet Grind Radio. Do you remember that at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That
I
one
did.
missed me. That one missed me.
I was a massive fan. A Dreamcast game. Really loved it. And... we just covered this on Play Retro, in fact, and I have had my eye for a while on this one. It's called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. It's Bomb Rush Cyberfunk.
Well, yes, this looks exactly like the Jet Grind Radio, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact.
So you have inline skates, also skateboards. There's different things you unlock and can use. And there's a story. There's a whole story mode to this thing, but it's like a big open world, Tony Hawkish at times in terms of like tricks you need to do and how you traverse the place and, what grinding does and all that. And then, you're needing to put graffiti in places that are like the goals to put them. And while you do that, you're fighting against other gangs. Everyone's like funky, like the gang, when you have a cutscene, you're just talking to like somebody on your gang or whatever, they're always dancing while they're talking to you. So they're just kind of boogieing and they're like, yeah, the next thing we got to do. And it's just very reminiscent of that Sega era of whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what to call the genre. 100%, and the devs admit this, 100% like fully inspired by the Jet Set games. They're not
Yeah,
even...
Well, there's
there's
never
that-
another one, right? Like
They did
people
two.
like that game.
They did
never-
two. They had a Dreamcast game, and they had the original Xbox had a sequel, but it wasn't as popular. So, for whatever that's worth. But
We need a new Parappa or the Rappa game. They're not making it either, so someone's got to make it.
I agree, that game rocked. But anyway, you unlock all these like graffitis, and then you can put new graffitis on things. And you have lots of goals, and there's a story, and instead of it being voiced, every line starts with a yo. So it's like, just imagine that era of gaming, and this is it. And they really captured it. Another overwhelmingly positive reviewed game, because that's all I play is those games.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding.
Wow.
Anyway, this was gifted to me also by, I lost my place, Maniac Medic, a very generous listener. He's an awesome dude, and he sent me a Steam gift for this, and I have been very happily playing it. It's really fun. It also controls, because I just had to play the original games with Dunaway for Play Retro, and I have to say, This game smokes the originals in terms of control and stuff. I mean, it's a modern game, so we've learned a lot since 2001 or whatever.
It's good to hear though, because sometimes when people make games that are homages to old games, they're like, well, I liked it with bad controls, so obviously the next one needs to have bad controls too. And I like when we aren't afraid to update it and make that a little bit better, because I do think that's something that in general we have figured out is controls and how games should play.
And it definitely feels like a game where we're just waiting for Sega to revive this series, and these guys are like, well, just go ahead and hurry up and do one, because we're not going to wait forever. And that's kind of what they did. It does have its own spin on things, though. Like, you notice my character has like a big red robot looking head. There's a very specific story reason for that. I get this isn't a spoiler because it happens right away early in the game, but I had a head when I started, and I tried to escape. And a rival gang leader named the DJ, I think is his name, he has steel records all over his suit, and he can fling those like razor blades through the air. And so he sends one of these, vinyl looking records, but it's steel, and just hacks my head right off as I'm trying to escape. And my crew put a robot on my head to save me.
That's usually the end of the line for most people.
I know. So, I feel like I should be dead in every other scenario. But in this one, they revived me, and we're going to get my head back. That's the goal. That's part of the story, too, is I'm going to earn that head back. And you see these dudes that look like zombies. They got like...
I got a lot of questions, though, because usually if the head goes, you go where the head is. It's not the other way around.
Yeah, you're more the head than the rest. This game says no, not so fast.
No, this game says you're the body and you're looking for the head.
Yep.
Why do you need the head?
Yeah,
if the robot head works just fine, what do you need the head for?
It's great. Boss fights are fun, creative, interesting. I got pretty hooked on it the other night. I finally had one tiny complaint. It's that the world feels a little unpopulated while you're riding around in it. They've got people and stuff walking around, but it just feels like it could be a little more crazy. So that's a small thing, though. I think it's very cool, and I'm super into it. Thank you, Maniac Medic, again for the gift, and highly recommend this game. It's very good. Also, overwhelmingly positively reviewed. Oh, and it's called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Okay, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. I got 3 emails this week saying, I don't listen to Grandma. You guys have to say it more in the middle. I'm like, why don't you listen to Grandma? She's your grandmother. She has stuff to say about stuff.
Yeah, what do you think the end of the show is?
Yeah, but it's fine. We'll do it again, and it's all good. We do both. Finally and lastly, I played a game that I already loved, and I just keep forgetting to play it, and that is Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. And I love the Ace Combat games because they're ridiculous. They're this combination of almost like crazy realism mixed with some of the most over-the-top anime storytelling of all time. And I love that combo. There's something about it because when you're in the jet plane, you're flying around on like effectively an F-16, and you're taking down dudes. It's photorealistic. You're just like, it's almost like Microsoft Flight Simulator. The controls are a little more arcadey, but whatever. Taking missiles and carpet bombing cities and doing all the stuff you do. And then the story kicks in, and this world is crazy. There's like a fake Europe continent and a fake Asia continent, and they all have dumb names. And everybody is always chattering on the radio like, I can't believe my girlfriend broke up with me before I was going on this mission. It's like, oh, that guy's going to die before this is like, it's just a lot of dumb shit. And I love it. The juxtaposition is so much fun. The cutscenes are ridiculous and over the top. And the gameplay is really fun. And I just, every once in a while, I get a hankering for it. And I just was like, you know what? Kind of in the mood. Let's take a break.
Steam Deck? You played it on your deck?
I did. It is Steam Deck verified. Plays really great on there. And 60 frames, just a nice, smooth experience. And it's just, sometimes it's fun to have a game where your job is to blow shit out of the sky and shoot anti-air missiles that are on the ground. These SAMs and stuff. That's anti-air missiles. What are they called? Anti-air, whatever it is. You just want to go do that.
Air to surface missiles.
There you go, air to surface missiles. And you just want to take stuff out and then report back and then have a fake general go, well done, man. We've done it again. The Eurasians are on the run. Like, it's just stupid and fun, and I love it. So can't say enough about it. I don't know where there should be a new game coming eventually, but it's kind of fun to get back in and mess about. So I played a bunch of that. It's my second favorite Namco game. Might be my first, actually. Trying to think if there's something I like more. I'm a sucker for Pac-Man, old school, but Ace Combat, pretty good series. All right, John, swinging it over to you to talk more about the stuff you played or got. It's more like about stuff you got.
Yeah, let me just take a moment to say big shout out. I already said it to Shatterproof for gifting Crab Champions and Boar Blasters my way, and an acknowledgement again from last week. I was gifted Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance. 5 Vengeance, I should say. That was from Sean. So I'm going to just take a moment and say thank you.
Thanks,
My
Sean.
family is camping this week.
Oh!
And I decided to use that time to just no life it in Final Fantasy XIV. I swear to you, I'm going to play these games.
Yeah.
But I'm taking one more week to just do nothing but what I want. And then I will check this other stuff out.
Yeah,
I actually thought Crab Champions was a multiplayer thing, so I hadn't even installed it. Now that I know it's just a shooter, I'm way more interested in it. I was like, oh, okay, is this a multiplayer thing? I'm not that interested in it, but no, I will play all of these. I will get back to you. But look, my family is not always gone. They're gone this week again. And I had to take advantage.
It's the summer of John, as far as I'm concerned. You're having a moment here.
Well, I mean, they're doing the thing they want to do. They want to go camping.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in camping.
Yeah. Same.
Like,
I'm with you.
camping is like living without all the fun bits attached to it. So,
I hate it.
let them go do it. And I will be here trying to get my item level up to 700, which I successfully did.
Nice.
So that's what I'm doing. But I did want to thank you for the games. Usually if somebody gives me a game, I try to play it by the next available core unless they give me a pass and say like, hey, no rush, or I thought you might want to do this for this. I didn't do that this week because I decided to just Final Fantasy all the time.
Nothing wrong with that. You'll like it when you get to it, though, I think. Especially Crab Champions. I think you'll have a good time with it. It's a nice change, too, because you just kind of need some blow-off arcade stuff, and that fills that void really well.
Yeah. That's been the hardest part about, ramping up to something like Shin Megami Tensei 5 is like, yeah, I could check it out, but I'm playing a long-form role-playing game right now. I'm not gonna give it the time it deserves. Same dropping one for the other.
Same goes for Board Blasters, a game I've recommended on here a few times. That game is a great time. It's just a great stress blow off. It's awesome. So you got all kinds of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Beau, back to you with what's the ZZZ? What is this?
Yep, ZZZ continues. That's Zenless.
Oh
Zone
shit!
0.
Yeah, right. I thought you meant you slept a bunch. I read that so wrong.
Well, that's.
I had
That's
that all
all right.
wrong. Yeah.
But
tell me about it. So you all right?
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah.
I mentioned the word sleep.
ZZZ hit it.
Yeah, I
Got
really
him.
got you.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit last week about trying the new Hoyoverse game. I have a lot of misgivings about gacha games, and Hoyoverse is usually the game in my crosshairs. And this game, does deserve that criticism. However, I find that I keep enjoying myself in it and have wanted to log in again, and I've now put like maybe 20 or 30 hours into the game. I have not put any money into it yet, and so far I don't feel a need to, which is interesting. Now, I'm still pretty sure at some point that's going to be the case, but I will say this. The story missions offer you like trial use of characters you don't own pretty much 100% of the time so far, so there's never been a point where I've been prevented from playing, and there's some stuff I really do enjoy about the game, which you're showing on video right now, which is the combat.
Yeah, it's really
combat's exciting, man.
really
Like, look
pretty.
at so they're showing the chain assists, which just takes the game to like this whole other like action-packed level, which once you kind of get how that works, makes it super fun. Basically, like there's the button structure is very basic. You have a basic attack, you have a special attack, and you have an ultimate button. The special, if you you have X meter, like an energy meter that you build up when you attack. So if you have juice, then the special attack will do something even stronger. And there's a bit of behavior difference, like for some heroes, if you hold down the attack button versus if you just tap it. And like a MOBA or any hero like that, like they all sort of function a little differently. And they have training modes where you can check out how to, play the character. So they're interesting and fun, and I'm enjoying it. But what I like about this game, it's not some slow ass, RPG style game, or it's not some turn based deal. This is just like a full on action game, and the graphics are very anime good. Like, so when you're playing, it's just like, oh, there's this big ass monster and everything's exploding, and it's great. The dodge mechanics are like when you see like a plus symbol sort of popping off, you can hit dodge and you'll slow down time and become invulnerable, or you can hit the assist button and get a perfect assist. And that's what you're seeing. That's where the game really sort of like shines. And I'm like, oh man, I like this, because when you start chaining perfect assists, it slows down time. They do this awesome counter move, and they of course yell out voice lines when they do it, and it's just like a lot of fun. So I've been enjoying myself playing the game.
When you call in an assist, this really reminds me of Crimson or Crimson.
You can do it. You can you can just swap characters at any times, right?
Okay.
Like you're there, and then you press the assist button, and it swaps to a new character. And if your old character is in the middle of attack animation, they'll stay in while you do it. It's like a fighting game where you have tag, and like a Street Fighter tag. I don't know what they're called, but when you do a tag team in like a fighting game, it feels like that.
Yeah.
And like it's fun. Like I'm actually like the combat scenarios, they're just combat arenas. There's no like crazy levels you go through. The levels are like these TV things you go through. It's like a map, and you go through the map, and those are actually kind of cool because there's puzzles to unlock. It's a symbolic representation of the Hollow, but they add in an extra layer of the gameplay too. And there's missions that are just the TVs and the exploration, and missions that are just combat, and a hybrid of both. And in the interim between the missions, it's like a kind of like a Yakuza game. There's probably better examples, but like you live in a neighborhood, there's stinky little side quests to do. There's vendors. The coffee shop's great. You can go get a coffee, and there's a sick ass animation of the coffee robot making you a coffee that the production value is like aces on it. Everything looks amazing. You're showing this guy too. He is one that I want. He's basically. Do you know who Harang is from Tekken?
He's my favorite character to play as.
Yeah, his fight style is that because he just his stance is always to hold his knee up.
Yeah,
he holds one leg up, and that's where he stays until he attacks. It's just awesome.
I do like that guy.
So the fighting, it's just been like, I'm enjoying myself. I want to keep playing, and I've been playing. I know at some point I'm gonna be unhappy. I say I know, but so far, like I've played farther into the game than I thought I would, without, like I said, having to buy a single item. Even with the gacha stuff, because they keep track of how many pulls you have because of the way the promotion works. I've had, I think, 200 pulls of gacha for free. Like it's not been that I've had to spend any money. I'm just like, I've got plenty of stuff to chew on here. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm just still enjoying it. Like I said, if I get to the point where I feel like I'm being preyed upon, I'll have it sing a different tune. But I'm actually just enjoying the game. It also has some pretty sick cutscenes, right? Like, so it's at certain points in the story missions, it'll just switch up to the comic book, like the visual comic. What do they call it? The online comic or animated comic, like visualizer. Motion comics, maybe.
There you go. That's it. Motion comics.
Yeah.
Motion graphics.
Motion comics. There's a lot of them, and they're pretty good. And then the actual cinematics are like really. There's some really cool ones that have like these. You're fighting weird aliens, and there's all kinds of laser lights and katanas flying around and stuff.
The game's pretty, man.
I like it.
It's a really nice. Animated.
It's that Japanese version of Cyberpunk. So like American cyberpunk or Western cyberpunk. Like it's it's like depressing, like everything's shit. Your life is in control by powerful forces. All that stuff. This is the genre where like it's a dystopia, but everyone's just kind of thrilled about it. They're just like living happy lives. Like there's robots and weird people and weird areas of the world that are being destroyed by probably us and et cetera, et cetera. But it's all good. Like it's just normal life, and everyone's still just like, "What video game do you want to play today?" Like you do run a video store, which is also kind of fun. So part of the downtime is customers come in and you make recommendations to movies on them. So running the video store is kind of fun. And there's a record shop where you can improve your disc drives, and that's kind of like a neat touch. There's a lot of like, they know what they're doing, at least in terms of your day-to-day like kind of life. Like it feels very one-to-one with like how you might do things today, and it's kind of interesting. It's also got some great characters. There's a big bear man called Ben Bigger.
Ooh, Ben Bigger, the bear man.
And he's like he's a construction worker, but he's also a finance guy. So he does the books for Bellabog Industries, the construction company. And he's very like shy. Also, he's nearsighted, so he has to push his phone up to his face to read it, but then his nose gets in the way and it's wet and makes the screen, hard to read.
Oh, because he's an actual bear, right?
He's an actual bear, yeah. And I'm just a myopic bear, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of adorable. I don't know. I've just grown really fond of Ben, the bear, Ben Bigger. So the characters are actually pretty. Like you like, oh, I like them. Like I am only playing with the starting heroes too. I was like, oh, these starting heroes. But Billy Kid's kind of awesome. He's like, I love Starlight Knight. It's my favorite TV show. And he's he's kind of like the himbo, like double the guns means double the accuracy. And it's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah. But it's just like whatever. He's kind of cool. So the charms of the game has definitely grown on me, and I've been playing it and enjoying it. It's nothing deep, and the mechanics, while they're interesting and thumb candy, it's nothing crazy. It's been a nice change of pace from Elden Ring, which is like dour, difficult. This is like, it's just tried it because I've been looking forward to this game for a while, and I keep booting it up to do some missions and stuff and enjoying it. So
awesome.
We'll see how that carries me. It does share one thing again with Scarlet Nexus, and that the music is. I don't know why this is a staple of the genre, but the music could really use a lot of improvement. Oh my god!
Oh, it's not good, eh? Here's some.
Well,
the other games are like that too.
Yeah,
they're all like that.
Yeah. Well, so I almost feel like it's mediocre bad, whereas Scarlet Nexus is like we put lots of effort into these shit. Like, like Scarlet Nexus is like just like elevator jazz to the max. Like it's just worst. Like let us be as off key as possible in every situation. I feel like
I had to turn that off. I can't play that game with music on. I hate it that much. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean maybe during cutscenes it's not bad, but definitely the levels and stuff it is awful.
Yeah,
I feel like this is a little less offensive, but still, it's a game full of records and like cool culture. Like put some cool music in it. Or like, what the hell, dude?
It's a lot of. It reminds me of the stuff you would hear. What do you call that? The lo-fi beat stuff. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, right? It's got the lo-fi beat vibe, but there's some really good lo-fi beats. Like these, I find these are just a little too vanilla, and I don't know. They could do better. I don't love it, but
all right.
It's fun. I've been enjoying it. So I'm hoping like the best case scenario for a game like this is like I play through the story content and finish it. I realize they'll constantly be releasing stuff for this, but if I play it to completion and don't feel like I have to purchase anything, or only feel like I can purchase a reasonable amount of items, at some point because I'm supporting the game that I clearly am enjoying, I'll be happy about that.
I watch the combat and I just go, man, just make a damn game. And I know that's not their model. I know what this is how they do it. And they're I don't know.
They have bad things in it. Like if you don't like currencies, they've got 100. It's got all the bullshit in it. I just find it hasn't been impeding me, in this case. So for whatever reason, it doesn't feel that bad. But yeah, it has all that bullshit in it, So
I wish we had a expert in the chat on Japanese culture and manga / anime stuff. Why do all the girls in anime, video games, and any other media where they look like this, why are they all pigeon-toed? Can someone explain that to me? Their feet are always, if they're standing, they're doing this, pointing their feet at each other. The men, not at all.
It's because of ego. Is it ego or
Ego? Lego
so,
Ego?
AEYGO. I mean, you may have heard of that. It's just like a beauty standard. Like,
okay, so like it's that's what I assume. I assume it must be a thing because they're all doing it.
It's an Asian. I think it's more of an Asian thing and not just like Japanese, because it's definitely something, you know, in my adventures in K-pop. It's also like, I'm shocked, like, you know, here it's like, oh, it's Britney Spears, or like, you know, somebody with like a voluptuous body wearing next to nothing, in a lot of cases that sell like kind of these pop music style things. And there it's more about, you know, being conservative is more valued there, but also being cute, and like cute in that sort of helpless way, like having
like a vulnerable
like
cuteness.
Like eye shapes is like a big thing. Having a squeaky voice, like me, like it's just a beauty standard thing. It's just different than what we have. So I think like when somebody stands that way, that pigeon-toedness, you know, it's
because over here they make you wear a brace when you show up.
There's a cuteness factor. Yeah,
you're like, oh, we got to get you in, or you're gonna have back problems.
That kind of stance is like sort of, and again, we don't have to get into the deep depths of how the grossness of it, but I think it's kind of like, you know, when somebody's standing there uncertain, right? Like, oh, did I do something wrong? You know, like we interpret a stance like that, apart from it potentially being a health issue.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
This stance is interpreted as someone feeling uncertain, or, you know, a more adorable stance. If you stand with one leg up on a rock with your shoulders like this, looking up to the sky, you know, projecting like confidence, and, you know,
You're either a pirate captain or you sell rum. Or
there you
something.
go. There you go.
We take these to mean things, and I think that's definitely yes. Why do all these girls stand that way? It's to emphasize cuteness, because that's a desirable thing.
Yeah, it's I get that. It's a cultural thing. No matter where you're at, there's versions of this. Yeah. So, okay, excellent. Beau, you also dabbled in one other thing. What was it? Oh, No Man's Sky, which you talked about.
Yeah, which we talked about some No Man's Sky, and Phase 4 of SOD WoW has been upon us, but I just haven't had time to get in there. So just
Elden Ring taking up all your sword swinging.
Yeah, well, you know, there's the core guild that is in there is like waiting for me, but I'm just having a hard time getting my moxie up to play it. Given all the other stuff we're doing.
You were pretty hardcore for a while, so I get it. Can be.
That's why I don't like phased content. It's like I kind of feel like I've burned my wick a little bit, and now I'm, you know, I think once I log in, you know, it's like just pressing the login button's kind of tough sometimes, and then you end up having a good time. But I think. I'm definitely feeling like, you know, I've had to spend enough time in there, and I'm getting a little burnt out from it.
I get it. Well, all right then. Let's take a break. When we come back from this break, we got a Dear Martha thing coming up, and somebody in our Discord, Jan. I never say his name right, dude. Sorry. I've talked to him on TMS before. Super nice guy. He's in Finland or something. He's awesome. Anyway, he sent in this Dear Martha thing, which we'll do here after the break. We also have some other news of note, a phone call, and more. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Well trained.
They are well trained. Yep, I'll give you that. Okay, we're back, everybody. Welcome back to the program. It is now time for us to do a Dear Martha. I got this from Jan, I think is how you say it. Jan.
Just like that.
He's always
don't deviate at all. Jan.
He's always giving me crap for not saying it right on other shows, but this is as close as I'm going to get. I definitely don't say Yanni anymore. Okay, like the new age artist who everyone got sick of in the 90s. Anyway, Jan or Yane or whatever says this. Why does one always run to the left first in side scrollers just because that one time in the 90s there was something good that way? I like this one. It's philosophical. It's interesting. And so I would be curious what somebody far off to war would write home to family and their loved ones about when it came to this issue. So, John, do you feel ready for this?
Let's do it.
I'm ready too. Hold on. I know I'm not ready. Okay, I will be ready. as soon as I click this.
My dearest Martha, I'm mad. Gosh dang darn mad, I say, with a capital exclamation point at the end. Why? Because found myself suddenly in a side-scrolling Metroidvania-esque world, so what do you do when you're in such a situation? You go to the left. There's always something to the left, Martha. Maybe it's the morph ball that will let you shrink into a tiny ball and roll into tight spaces. Maybe it's just a good gun. Maybe it's just an Easter egg to reward those of us who know to go to the left. You know what wasn't there, Martha? Anything. They didn't put anything over there. This is a crime against video game humanity. It's like putting a waterfall in a game and not having the decency to put something behind it. Look, I get it. You want to subvert expectations. You don't want to do what everybody else seems to think you need to do. Well, you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't make me feel good when I jump through the water and look like a big stupid idiot because there's just a rock on the other side. I want there to be something. All I'm finding lately is disappointment. Well, you're over there patting yourself on the back because you subverted expectations. All I'm doing is feeling disappointment and anger. So let me just spell this out for you, seeing as we're apparently having a difficult time with this. If you make an action-adventure game, all players are going to go to the left. Put something there. If you put a waterfall in your video game, all gamers are going to jump through it. Put something there.
True.
And if you are making a Mega Man video game, you are going to jump into the boss door. He needs to freeze in midair in whatever position he was in and be pulled through the boss door. If you make him land on the ground and walk like a moron into the room, we all feel like morons. This is the end of my rant. Thank you for taking the time, Martha. I miss you and the children very much. I'm just so angry. Yours in this life and the next. Happy Man Sam 32.
Wow. Happy Man Sam. All right, why didn't that change volume? Sorry. Shit. Nothing's working. Okay, there we go. Well done, as always. And thank you, Jan, for that fantastic request. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's time for other news. Let's get into it. There's a few things going on. Nothing crazy, but Microsoft made a Deadpool Xbox controller, and it has a bum on it. Have you seen this? This is an interesting little bit of business.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want one just because I want one. I don't really care.
I want one because I want to know if it's better.
Yeah.
Anytime you design a controller that's different, there is a part of me that goes, is it better?
Yeah. Like, how does that fit? I'm trying to I can't picture it quite.
Is it one of those things where maybe, well, never mind.
What? They got,
well, if it's getting you a little hot under the collar, it's distracting you from playing the game. It's like too much good stuff in one spot, right? Like,
well, somebody out there's got like a a thing for this. You're right.
Where does the grip go?
Well, you charge the controller. You charge the controller by putting your USB-C controller right where the butthole would be. No, that's not true.
Like, what are you thinking when your fingers are in that crack? Is it distracting or does it feel natural and you can play the game?
Well, that's what I want to know. That's why I need to hold one. I need to know.
Yeah, I kind of want to hold one.
I won't know until I try it.
I want to hold one, and here's the other thing about it. It's also got the cool, like one of the stick or the palm sticks has two leather straps to hold weapons, and the other one just has the one, kind of mimicking the way his legs work. I just think that's kind of awesome that it's not symmetrical. So from arty farty perspective, I like that. Also, what would really impress me is if that bum contained extra battery life,
It can take more batteries.
Yeah, so you get like a 12-week
it's not
charge
squishy, I don't think, right?
No, I think it's hard.
It would be cool if it was squishy.
Yeah.
Like a gel.
Yeah, like what you rest your
things.
wrist on when you use a mouse.
I assume they're firm. I don't know. But I am excited about that movie. I'm seeing it on the 27th with a bunch of local listeners, and we're all going to see Deadpool.
I definitely never thought to consider putting a butt on the back of that. It's an interesting innovation.
Yeah. Wonder what else you could put there. Think about it. You could put
You can just put a dong on the top.
I'm like, where will Beau go with this? I wonder where he'll go. He'll just go straight to dong.
Get rid of the Xbox button and put another controller. You know,
I love it.
Put your HOTAS on there.
I love it. Well, anyway, that's a thing. And let's see, when did we get these? Let's see, July 22nd.
You can only get it through a contest.
Right.
You can't go buy the butt controller.
Nope.
That's crazy. They
That
can't
is
make
crazy.
something that good, and because Scott wants one, we're not going to win the contest. He'll never get to try it. Like, come on now.
They even have a Series X wrap too that looks like the rest of his body, kind of. That's kind of cool. It doesn't come with these katanas they show with it, though. I don't think.
Man,
I know.
why didn't they include katanas with the console?
What a rip-off, man. It's an interesting thing. There's no game tie-in. It's just for a theatrical movie. You know, usually these things are game tie-ins, but I don't know. I'd play a hard R Deadpool game. Where's that? Let's get that going. What's the slowdown there, Sony or whoever owns it? Or I guess it's just Marvel.
They've got to be getting complaints about this, though, for sure.
The bum, you think?
About a butt controller?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty adult. It's a pretty adult item.
I don't know. I feel like that's what you expect from Deadpool.
Yeah.
From Deadpool.
I mean, have you seen the popcorn bucket?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Where they're making fun of the Dune one?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're laying.
Yeah, you should see the popcorn bucket for Deadpool.
Deadpool popcorn. Let me go find this bucket. Here it is.
Like, and it was so subtle the way they drizzled hot butter down the face of it too.
I don't know I don't know which of these are real. Like, there's a picture from the Hindustan Times.
The one that's Wolverine with butter dripping down his face is real.
Okay, so it's not. Like, I'm gonna paste this into the chat. Tell me if that's the real one.
Let's see.
No, I don't think that's the real one. No,
that's
Scott
not
has the real one up on stream right now.
Yeah, the one you're looking at is fake. Somebody AI'd that. This one that we're looking at is real, and I can't tell if it's plastic or it almost looks like ceramic or something. But it's not too crazy until you drizzle freaking.
Wait, so it's just a big Wolverine mouth?
Yeah. There's also a Deadpool version. Let's see if I can find it. There's so much AI shit in here. Let's see. Here it is. Here's a better. I'll put it in the chat as well, or in Discord. This is that is definitely not the one that you put in there.
That's what I mean. I'm like,
that is not it. I'm not putting that up, chat. That is AI bullshit right there. This is closer to it. It's like the head is on the bucket that way.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to eat popcorn out of the side, like.
Yeah. And then, this other one. These are all terrible. I hate the AI arrow we're in. I hate it. Okay, nicely done. What else is going on? I lost my place. Here we go. Okay, I'm back to where we were. New Diablo class, not the Crusader, of course, the Spiritborn thing, shown off today. And it's basically witch doctor and kind of monk combo deal.
Yeah, so they put
a cool druid in the game.
Yeah, kind of.
They got asked about this in the Q&A because I watched the presentation today, and they were like, was this inspired by the witch doctor? They were like, no, we made our own thing. And the next question was this inspired by the monk? They were like, no, we made our own thing. And I'm the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, it's witch doctor and monk. Like, they gave him a martial art. He's a martial artist. Mm-hmm. He does kung fu. Mm-hmm. And one of the animal pets is a centipede that barfs poison everywhere. Yeah. Like good old... I mean,
I told you, it's the reason why when they put a plate mail class in this, I guarantee you it is going to be the Paladin and not the Crusader. This team, for whatever reason, really wants to believe with all their heart that Diablo 3 never happened.
Yeah, it's weird. Even though they keep kind of coming back to it, but yeah.
This is 100% witch doctor and monk with some because also it's like it's not stuff from heaven or hell. It's from the unformed land or the spirit realm, right? Like so.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same vibe that the Witch Doctor has, and I think even the Monk. I'm not sure, but definitely the Witch Doctor. Um, and like, yeah, he's got some original stuff going on himself. He has like a two-handed weapon, and like it's an original. It feels original. The only thing I hate about it is the name. I think the name's kind of lame, but
Yeah, I think so.
the class, like Spiritborn,
Spiritborn's
come on
boring.
now, like.
It's-
But the actual class, it looks super badass. I cannot wait to play it. All the moves look cool. It actually it brought the hype meter for the new content up way high. I'm 100%
Yeah.
windmill slamming the play button on this guy.
He looks awesome. Ooh, look at these mounts.
He's a monk. Like, I'm just like, oh man, they're bringing monk to the game. I'm stoked. Like, that's cool. It's not quite how I would have envisioned it, but I still like it. So
someone at Blizzard could clarify this, but I'm pretty sure that this cinematic was made in the software they make the Overwatch shorts in. That's not it's not the normal like Diablo full on cinematic team stuff. It's fine. In fact, that's why they did it, so they could do smaller stuff without being such a thing. But that kid's a little, I don't know, it's a little janky. Whatever. This looks great. I want to play this guy. Absolutely, I do. And look at that thing. Look at that big old centipede breathing shit on stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, like everything about it just looks like so sick. I'm like, I'm really excited to play the game again. This worked.
When's this come out?
There's a lot of things that I think are funny about this. I still think it's funny that it feels like a massive paladin / crusader / tanky thing still seems to exist in their roster.
Yeah.
I do think like my first reaction to seeing this was, oh, so you put a cool druid in the game. But like those are all like quick little shitty jabs at it. The truth is, like, I do think this class looks really cool. As somebody whose like original favorite class in Diablo 3 was the monk, like, and as somebody who wanted to like the druid but just didn't, I didn't like the abilities, I didn't like the look of it. Like, I thought the druid was incredibly disappointing in Diablo 4. Like, this seems 100% like something I would play if I end up getting the expansion. We'll see. I'm still not sold on it.
Base price putting you off at all? $39.99 for that? It seems a little high.
Here's my problem with the expansion without going into too big of a tirade. Like, I'm definitely on a wait and see with it. I've said before on the show, and I feel like the more I think about it, the more strongly I feel Diablo 4 feels like an extremely overstretched Act 1 of a video game and of a Diablo game. And I think that this expansion is going to feel like I bought and paid for Act 2. And I think that's disappointing. I hope that I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. But I have a feeling that when we get this game, we're going to pursue the Soul Stone, and we're going to probably get it. And then something's going to happen with another one of the primevals, and that'll be where it ends. And then they're going to sell us Act 3 in a year.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think, I said before Diablo 4 came out, you'll know if you feel like you're being taken advantage of. And the truth is, I don't feel like, I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of. I don't feel like I'm being delivered the product I want. And I feel like I'm being sold the product I want piecemeal over time, and I'm just not interested in it. So, like, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love for it to come out and surprise, and if it is, and I get it, like, 100%, this would probably be the first class I play. This class seems awesome.
Yeah.
But, I just don't have a lot of faith in the Diablo 4 team. Like, when we went into Reaper of Souls, I feel like what we were hearing from the Diablo 3 team when we transitioned to that was a lot of like, yeah, they understand what the problems were and they're ready to fix them. There have been elements of that. Like, it feels like the Diablo 4 team knows there were missteps, but it feels like they're still just like, no, we're holding course. We think you'll figure out that this is the game you want at some point. And I don't think I'm going to figure out that this is the game I want. It wasn't when it first came out. It's had ebbs and flows in quality, and I don't think it's for me. And I don't see a Blizzard that is in line with turning it into a product that's for me. So I might still be out on the expansion. I don't want to spend $40 to find out that I bought Act 2.
Yeah, I get that feeling. Comes out October. We got some time. Hopefully they'll, we get a lot of ideas of how it plays early because, they'll give it to influencers or whatever. And hopefully we can get a better taste of what that thing is. What else? Oh, lots of positive hype on the Concord open beta. We were all pretty not dour
Was there?
on it.
I heard nothing but bad things, but maybe I just follow and listen to the wrong people. I didn't hear anything good.
Maybe I'm wrong because I tossed this in there without a link to an article because I've just been I've saw nothing but positive things
I have seen it also
on this. I want the beta's over. I want to keep playing. This game's really good, and I was like, oh shit. I was like,
yeah, I'm
I
hurt.
don't think I had beta access. I never signed up for it, but that's always I took it as a good sign, but maybe as a false positive if you've seen nothing but negatives on it.
I'm seeing mostly positives, and it's not just people playing. Like, here's this dude, Washington Post guy I follow a lot. I forgot his name. What is his name? Here he is. This is Gene Park. I love Gene Park stuff.
No, Gene Park. Yeah.
He says, Concord is Sony's expertly crafted big bet. It's just a few years late. He really liked it, and I often align with what he likes. Doesn't mean we will on this one or whatever, but that was a good sign for me. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a case of me being a glass half empty guy, but it's a few years too late. Doesn't sound like a glowing review.
Well, I think that's
like,
true.
That sounds like, hey, this is a competent thing that nobody is interested in playing anymore.
Here's how he describes it. He says, the game's artwork, typography evoke 1970s science fiction, a la Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's see, soundtrack, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to get part. Okay, here we go. Play the game and you will feel that it's clearly made by people who also made Destiny, trying to make a game like Overwatch. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. The pedigree shines through in the gameplay. The hero shooter genre offers characters something. He likes the gameplay. Basically, just like some of the tropes are maybe a little old. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with a game like this. If it's fun to play, I will definitely check it out. I'm interested more than I was because it is a premium game. They're going to do it like they did with Helldivers. It's like 30 or 30, 40 bucks, whatever it is. You buy it, you play it. Hopefully it won't be egregious on any kind of back end buying stuff. But, going from the model of a free to play shooter with battle passes and all that shit to not one like that, I'm already more interested in that case. But yeah, I don't know until I play it, I guess, but I want to know more.
Yeah, it looks like I'm doing a quick look because again, it's one of those things where like I saw good things on Twitter, but also, not to call anyone out specifically, I follow some people on Twitter that naturally would only be retweeting positive things about the game. I heard some bad, I heard some good. Looking now online for like impressions, it feels like it's a very mixed bag. So I feel like I'm seeing a lot of people saying like, "Oh, hey, this plays really good," or I just don't like the vibe, or vice versa. So yeah, I guess we'll see. How it ultimately lands.
Mm-hmm.
The reception on these things too can also be rough, right? Like, or not.
Yeah.
Like we're getting on. Like, objectively speaking, we're getting more competently better made quality products than we were 10, 20 years ago on average.
Sure.
That doesn't mean it's going to hit with everybody. People may just still hate it. Like, I don't know. For a variety of reasons, particularly the shooter crowd. They can be very particular and it can be very flavor of the monthy. And if it doesn't feel like a good flavor, people will be hyperbolic about how they communicate it. I just thought I saw, like, I had a lot of people who were like, "Oh damn, it's over. I want to keep playing," and so that's.
You guys
I was like, "Oh, I felt sort of reassured." I'm like, "Oh man, that made me curious to go check it out." But I guess if it's going to cost $40, will I check it out? Maybe not. But that's a me problem. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's just a you problem. Like, that's a genuine problem because, like, as I was sitting here thinking about this and looking for reviews and stuff, my first thought was, it's free to play. We can just, just decide for yourself. And then Scott reminded us it's not free to play. It's, it's $40 buy-in to find out if you like it or not. And like let me be real and honest. This is not my genre. I've said many times Overwatch 2 burned to this genre for everybody universally. Doesn't matter if you put Spider-Man in your game or not. Like, I'm pretty uninterested in this genre of game, thanks Overwatch. So there was pretty much a 0% chance of me playing it to begin with. But I will say that, like, if everybody was super hyped about it and excited, you know, maybe I'd give it a try, but I'm not going to spend $40 to find it out. I don't think that's a hyperbolic thing to say.
Yeah, I think I'm just getting to a point where I'm set. You know, I try to second guess or just to make sure if it's something I'm not going to play, it doesn't mean it's not successful or quality. You know, if like I look at it and I go, it's definitely not worth 40, definitely not worth my time. That's like a personal analysis versus like an objective analysis, and probably a problem we have in gaming overall because we confuse the two probably, and you know, we're all posting our comments online.
Yeah.
But that's why I was like, oh, I saw some positivity about it, but you know, I was like, oh, okay, like, so yeah, maybe I was incorrect. It was definitely an anecdotal entry on my on this list because that's what I was seeing. But
do you guys have any? Have you gotten curious at all about this First Descendant thing that is being kind of poopy reviewed right now, but everyone's playing
I
it.
was super like I thought it looked cool, but you know, I'm sad to hear that it's, you know, discount Destiny, discount Warframe. It's like a jankier version of those games, but with hotter people, basically. And that with all the games I have to play, that definitely tempered my need to try it out immediately. You know,
yeah.
So.
Give this one some time. It has. It's got every on the Steam charts. It's like this is the number one right now. Like an
well, I mean, that's the thing is like people. There's again, we talked about advertising. We discovered lots of people apparently love advertising, want to marry advertisements, but you know, you can look at something critically and say like it's objectively like lacking in, you know, various ways that other products don't, but people still love. They love hot people in their video games. Like the Stellar Blade controversy is like an example of this. Like people will just actually play games because they put like hot characters with revealing clothing in them, and that's good enough. Like, and I guess enjoy your game, guys.
Well, and maybe this speaks to hopefulness for Concord, because I will say, like, again, brief survey to find out, you know, oh, did I just hear from particular sources, or you know what the deal is. A lot of people were saying it plays good, and one of the things I have heard about that game is that it plays good. And so while I know it's getting mixed reviews on Steam despite being very popular on Steam, if it plays well enough, like sometimes people don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, like I will say this, I think I frequently made fun of Destiny as the game that cost me $60 every time I want to try it. Like that's my major criticism. But Destiny played really well. I hated almost everything else about that video game, but it played well, and it was enough for me to sink quite a few hours into Destiny, despite the fact that I was like, they don't seem to be taking the lore very seriously. This was, you know, the first one. Not that I necessarily think they fixed it all that much, but like this was in the go read on a website what the lore of our video game is era. You know, I thought the characters looked okay, but mostly I just liked the way the game played, and sometimes that can carry a game.
Yeah. A lot of these reviews seem to be angry Warframe people. Like,
well, one of the things that I saw that turned me off because I watched a video on it for First Descendant was when you travel the world, there's no NPCs, and then when you start a mission, the NPCs appear.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's like this weird thing. Like, there's just stuff like there's stuff like that in it where it's like depending on how much of a gaming snob you are about these things, you know, it's like, oh, that's totally. You can look at it as totally fine. You can look at it and be like, that's lazy and shitty. Like, you know,
there is a lot of Warframe Destiny talk in these negative reviews, though. Like,
oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of tribalism, but like,
well, I don't know about Destiny. I'm sure it's the same, but Warframe players, like they're very like in tune with their community. You know, they have their own convention every year and stuff, and I know they do a lot of like streaming content where they have their devs talking to their audience. Like you could go your whole life and never really hear about what's going on with Warframe, but if you're kind of in touch with what the creators or the GMs are like known by name, and like they're constantly giving away free in-game money, and there's a real community around that game. So like to look at a game like this and like, it's like with WoW, right? Like some WoW clone comes along and you just want to shit on it, even if it could be an objectively good game, because WoW is your don't rip off my favorite game kind of thing,
Yeah.
So, I think there's a bit of that going on here.
Forgot to tell you guys how excited I am for Shapes with a Z2 coming out.
No,
is that happening?
We haven't heard about that in a while. So
Shapes with a Z.
The August. I guess I think it'll still be early access. I can tell you from playing the internal builds, it's very polished, so it's going to be a good early access. But they're putting it out in August. So like in a couple of weeks, that thing is up, and I'm stoked.
Nice.
I love it, dude. Automation at its best. Can't wait. That'll be when I say sorry, Final Fantasy. I got to waste an inordinate amount of time combining shapes.
Yeah. Well, hey,
a little bit of news that I got in my email.
Breaking news.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we're planning.
News.
I still don't mean to interrupt the Shapes.
That's what. No, it's good. All they need to know is Shapes 2 is coming out with a Z.
Yeah,
we're good.
We'll keep promoting that one for sure. It's a great one. The pre-expansion content update for War Within starts July 23rd.
Ooh,
so that's next week.
Yeah, dude, it's coming quick.
So I did pre-order it.
He did too, and I feel so stupid for doing it. Oh my god!
I mean, I didn't touch Dragonflight at all.
God, send Chris Metzen a message that he owes me some freaking money or something. I did it on the back of him.
Yep.
And now it's here, and I'm so uninterested in it. But
that's
Here's the
I think
thing.
you should be able to get a refund.
That's me. I know I don't want a refund. I'm just.
But the game doesn't come out that's all pre-bonus crap. The game doesn't come out until October, right? October.
It's related to the story, right? Usually, if you miss those things, then you weren't a part of them. So I'm like, should I play the pre-patch content?
Pre-release.
I still haven't finished Dragonflight.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, I haven't done any Dragonflight. I think it's fine.
See, that's hilarious.
That would be a good time maybe to get some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's hilarious because I've done pretty much all of Dragonflight, and
there's a quest line for the expansion, Visions of Azeroth quest line.
But they want to send it. They want to put pre-patch content in right when I'm having a serious moment with Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, yeah, of course.
They met and they're like, Scott's playing Final Fantasy 14, but War Within.
We gotta get him back in WoW, guys. Get him over here.
And then continue your preparation for Kaz Elgar with the Radiant Echoes event from July 30th to August 26th.
It's fine.
I don't know.
Have fun with your WoW, you guys.
I'm a little hyped for War Within.
I am too. I'm definitely gonna play it. I should wait. I just should wait until October when it's October, right?
People are saying August.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, it's soon.
We're basically about a month.
Oh, right? August 26th. You're right. A little more than a month.
Yeah, 5 weeks. You better hurry up with Final Fantasy, my dude, if you're planning on playing some more.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. You know what? This is how this will go. I'll be well into Stormblood, Stormblood. Storm Brood. Where the hell did that come from? Storm Brood War. Anyway, I'm going to be well into that, and then this will come out, and what I'll probably do is pause that subscription, hop over onto WoW, get all the big first couple of few weeks hype, play it like crazy, level to cap, do all that, and then go back. I don't know, dude. That's what everyone's going to do. We're all doing it. I'm not saying John will, but
I don't know. I didn't pre-order it so I wouldn't play it.
Right.
I'm not interested in playing it right now. It's not a matter of I think it's going to be bad. This isn't an opinion on the War Within. It's an opinion on you look at your video games and you pick the game you want to play. I have no desire to play World of Warcraft right now, but now is when World of Warcraft is, it's the little gopher popping out of the machine right now in the whack-a-mole, and it's the one I got to hit. Yeah. Because it's the one that's popping up, but I don't want to hit it. I want to hit something else at the moment.
I completely agree. It's a weird thing. It's just a timing thing. If this was more of a winter, like late fall winter release, I think I would be less I wouldn't sound hesitant at all, because that's when I think of as WoW time. It's like, oh, it's getting cold, and there's snow on the mountains, and guess what else? There's a new WoW expansion. That's just those things all go together to me. So to do this in late summer is weird.
Meanwhile, all the WoW fans are like, no, it's coming out exactly when it needs to. No, don't listen to Scott.
This WoW expansion.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I just don't really feel like playing WoW right now.
Nope,
I had a WoW phase playing Dragonflight.
Yeah.
And like, that's honestly, I think what messed me up is I went so hard at playing all the Dragonflight content that I hadn't played, is I feel like I just played a WoW expansion. And I'm like, I just played a WoW expansion. Why is there another one?
Yeah.
Should be like a year or two from now. Why is there already one? I just played WoW. I don't need to play any more WoW right now.
Yeah.
But I guess that's on me for waiting so long to play Dragonflight, which I still need to finish. I didn't finish the story. I got to max level. It doesn't do a logical order to the story, so there's characters that are dead that I've seen in cutscenes later and all of that. It's a big mess. But
I wouldn't be upset at anyone for not being interested in playing a Dragonflight. Like, it is
Dragonflight rocks. I love it.
It might be good, but it has been so unenticing. From a you need to get in here kind of business, Like, I don't really think.
That's probably true. I don't know. I don't know what the hype meter
broadly
is.
Speaking, or maybe just for us. I'm not saying like objectively they've done a terrible job. Whenever I think about the Dragonflight cinematics, I don't think like, oh man, I want to play that. I just go, yeah, all right.
That was a hard one to hype because it was like, hey, dragons, right?
The pandemic hit and it was a challenging era. So like, I'm not trying to be negative at all. I'm just saying it's hard to work up any kind of desire to get in there.
Yeah.
But like I see the key art for War Within, and I see everyone looking kind of sad. And there's that purple lady who looks like she's about to mess up people's shit, and I'm like, I want to know what's going on in this comic book. Like, it looks cool, like,
yeah,
like it's a subtle thing, but it's just like, no, there's like characters I know, they're getting wrapped up in something interesting. And I find myself curious where I wasn't really curious who the stone guys were, like they're cool looking, but I'm just not like, oh man, I need to figure out.
No, that makes sense, because honestly, that's the same way I feel even about this expansion. Is like, I don't like I've become so divested from the active roster of World of Warcraft. All the characters I liked are either dead or gone or completely different people than what they were when I fell in love with them. And, that's fine. I'm one opinion. A lot of people feel differently. But, like, I just don't care about anybody that's doing anything. Like, I don't care that Anduin's sad. I don't care that Thrall's coming back. I don't know who I vaguely know who the villain is, but like okay, she was tied to one of the artifact weapons. Like, the closest thing I get is
she's got spinny balls all around her head. Like, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Like,
I want to see what's up with those spinny balls.
She's got ray tracing.
What's she gonna do with them?
Yeah.
So like, that's just my problem. So I'm kind of with you. Like I don't know what I'm compelled to find out. It's like, get in for the story. And it's like,
yes,
I feel like I should, because I invested so much time in the forefront, but it's like all my friends are dead though.
Yeah.
Like,
comes with
come
Chris's
back to the reunion, and then you do a recount and you go, well, wait a minute, everybody I know is no longer with us anymore. So who am I going there to see?
Yeah,
this whole deal comes with Chris's promise, not to put a lot of pressure on it, that the story is, we need to go somewhere with the story, right? Like, it's coupled with his speech at BlizzCon, which is like, we're taking this 3-part story and we're driving something to, conclusion. The same way there's like a good stop-off point for Marvel stuff with like Endgame and Infinity War, right? It just kind of feels like if you were watching those movies, we brought it somewhere, and now when I'm uninterested in new stuff, I don't really feel like I have FOMO in the same way I might have as you were leading up to that business. And it kind of gives me that vibe. Maybe we'll be proven wrong, but I'm kind of letting myself be interested based on that as well. Like, will any of these characters survive? I hope they all freaking die. Like, they're, I hope we start, we not that I want them to, but, I hope we have some real conflict, some real stakes, and some real, a real thing we can participate in that feels like it matters or you don't want to miss out on. The same way you guys are enjoying your Final Fantasy 14.
Sure, yeah. I get that. So he texted me on my birthday and we had a conversation about so I said, "Hey, we're getting close. You getting excited?" And I don't know that I've heard him this passionately excited about a WoW release since we've known each other. Like he seems very, very excited. And I think he's also up. I think he's up to his neck because I think they're developing this thing. I mean, don't quote me on this because he didn't actually say this, but I think they're doing it all back to back, like straight, like Lord of the Rings. All just filmed all 3 movies at once and then prepared to release them. I think that's how this is being handled.
Yeah, I think we're expecting a stronger cadence. As John put it, they're trying to get more money out of him for the whole story. So I think this is Act 1 of Act 3.
Well,
Yeah.
they did say that. Like that was
Yeah.
part of his on-stage presentation was we need to finish this story while I'm still alive to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, like he without giving dates and turnaround time said they want to put out the content faster. So you know, and they want to tell
Well, set aside
final story.
$300 over the next. Set aside $300, everyone.
Why did I think it was October, not August? I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
Because maybe
to be
you mixed it with
October.
something else.
Or I wanted it to be, or who knows? So many releases this year. Who knows?
Well, I think the Diablo thing's October, right?
Yeah, that is October. That's probably what I did to swap those. Thinking they were too close to each other.
Sure. Let me just see if I can.
Real quick, listener Brent sent me this awesome Jaina Proudmoore family crest anchor thing.
Nice.
Isn't that cool? He made these. I just got this. This is like old. It makes me feel like I'm, back in the old instance days. People would send me cool stuff like this all the time. I love it. So thank you, Brent, if you're listening.
I just want to point out that this Diablo 4 expansion, by the way, it's $53 Canadian, which is a lot more than what you're paying in the States.
Yeah.
But if you want, you can spend up to $120. Just saying.
Okay, let's get right on that.
Just if you were just kind of mad that that you weren't paying enough money.
I already bought this expansion, so however much I spent is what I spent, and
Oh, did you pre-purchase D4?
Oh, D4? No, sorry. I thought we were.
I'm just
still
saying,
talking
like
about WoW.
that's the minimum spend. That obviously you can 3x your spend if you want.
No, we'll see. We'll do a Diablo 4 expansion watch for me.
And
right now,
Diablo
I haven't bought
4
it, and I have no plan to buy it.
It's
at the
October
moment.
8th, so you've got like 3 or 4 months to,
Yeah.
figure it
All
out.
right,
Yeah.
You got some
Diablo team, you got a couple months to sell
I
me.
think I might start playing.
bring
retail
it.
WoW.
Yeah, you
I
should.
think I might.
Bo, you should.
I think I might. I think because I've been having a hard time getting back into SOD Phase 4. It just feels overwhelming. I'm playing a lot of games, and if we're just a month away from WoW launch, I kind of don't feel like playing a bunch of WoW before playing a bunch of WoW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also the hype.
You know what
the hype worm is crawling up my butt though a little bit.
I might have some. Yeah, I'm going to disappoint some people today. Our core guild is awesome in Season of Discovery. They're wonderful.
There's a
bunch
core
of
guild on retail.
I
I'm
know,
in
but
it.
they're a wonderful bunch of lads, and they're nice. They're just like, thank you for playing with us. Like, it just means a lot. Like, it's cool that I've been consistent and stuff, and so it just like hurts a little bit to have to disappoint people because it's like Phase 4 starting, let's go, and I'm like, yeah. So about those expectations I set.
Yeah.
Um,
Try ending
think,
a 16-year World of Warcraft show. Try
right.
I'm sure nobody
yeah.
had any feelings on that.
No, that
I
was
mean, they're all welcome to come join us in retail. Part of the identity of the SOD thing is that it's not retail, but like I am really interested in War Within, and I just, like I said, I just don't think I can play a bunch of WoW. If not just for the show, like our show audience is comprised of more than WoW players, so sometimes, that's why we try to play new games and experience different types of games. I saw some chatters earlier. Someone was like, so they seem to be really into a game, and then next week they're not into the game anymore because they're playing something new. And I just want to say, it's because we try to bring, at least one of us, we try to make sure we have like fresh stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the same games every week.
Part of that is just the meta game of doing a show, and
yeah,
I feel bad with 3 weeks in a row. I'm just coming with the same games all the time. Like we do try to like get some new stuff to talk about, like a book club or whatever. So. It's by design. It's not that we don't like those games anymore, or
Yeah.
there's a ton of offerings, but we're also trying to keep it fresh and keep it moving.
I'm
And
just sort of done with lifestyle games. Like I have a couple. Obviously, Final Fantasy consumes my life for a time, but like prior to the expansion coming out, like I was logging in every now and then to see if I won the lottery.
Right.
Like that was it. I was like,
Making
buy a
sure-
lottery ticket.
yeah.
Did I win the lottery? No, didn't win the lottery again. All right, I'm done.
Log into your house. Make sure your house doesn't get repossessed.
Yeah, don't get my house sold out from under me.
Yeah.
Like I was barely playing for many months at a time. So even when it is like, ugh, all John talked about for a month was Final Fantasy, it's a blip by comparison, but I just don't want to have it be the only thing I talk about, which is why I spent a little bit of time in No Man's Sky. It's also why I apologize for not playing other games this week, but there's going to be times where selfishly we're going to play the thing we want to play because at the end of the day, like that's also what we're here to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, don't worry. Scott will walk into the arcade with his pocket of quarters and pick out 20 weird things. That's how.
I mean, but
it'll
I
go.
feel bad always relying on you. Like I like that. We all like to bring games.
You shouldn't feel bad because I do it anyway. But I also I just did a host special for the patrons this month. I put it up today, and that entire episode is about that. Kind of inspired by John's original content or comment about how I tend to play games. It's like I'm in an arcade, and that really resonated with me. So I made a whole host special about it and why I feel that way. And the entire episode has ambient sound of a 1983 arcade going on behind me.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah.
It's super
Oh,
dumb.
nice
but-
touch. Yeah.
But anyway, we're always, if anyone's out there going, I wish they'd do nothing but talk about one game forever, you're never going to get that here. That's the whole
I don't
point
think
of
it
the
was
show.
that. I just think we do cycle through game. Like if we're just like this game is the best game ever, you should play it. And people like start playing the game and they want to hear chatter about it. Like we move on, so there's no more. Example might be not Shapes because you talked about it more than 1 week, but let's say what's something we talk like Animal Well, right? We're just like Animal Well's amazing, played it a whole bunch, not finished it yet, and then bunch of people bought Animal Well and they'd like to hear more about the game.
I get
the
it.
Following week, we've all moved on. Like there's no more to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
I want to get back and finish it.
It's kind of how it
but,
goes.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
But
yeah.
all that to say, this was sort of a little bit of a rabbit hole. All that to say is I'm just probably not going to be able to play a bunch of WoW before I play a bunch of WoW, and that's just kind of how. I'm kind of interested in the new games. The Shadow of the Earth Tree is easy. Like it's just hard to fit it all in, and I was thinking maybe I'd get back into it. And now that I realize next week there's going to be War Within content, like it's starting up.
We need more games
know.
within games. We need it like the days in WoW where you do a flight path and Bejeweled would pop up.
Peggle.
Yeah, or
It's
Peggle.
always the problem I have with WoW. It's they gate their content over time, and I'm only going to play it so many months out of the year. I'm not going to be playing it year round. And
I think that's part of the appeal is that they feel it feels like they're trying to get away from that.
It does
though.
feel like that. Yes, I agree.
yeah, like if they launch the X-Pack, I play it for a couple months, get what I need out of it. I'll be back for the next release.
Yeah,
Like,
the
I
new
don't want an update.
Dragonflight for any other thoughts about Dragonflight, one of the things was it was less time gatey, and it was less about sitting there waiting for an NPC to invite you to do a thing and you grinding some kind of weird reputation to make it happen. Instead, it was just, here comes a patch, big story coming, and a new wing to this or whatever. Like, it didn't feel like they were holding it back. It just felt like we were naturally waiting for something to get done. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it did feel different.
I don't
this
mind a
time.
little bit of that at the start of the X-Pack, but like when it's the third raid and they're releasing it wing by wing, that stuff,
Yeah.
and the rep grinds for things like. Oof.
I hate rep grinds of any kind.
Yeah.
You know what else I really appreciate in Final Fantasy it's not that I can't get used to it again in other MMOs, but not having to click on stuff that I just killed to get the inventory it wants to give me.
Oh right, yeah. it
I
just
really
drops right
like
in.
that. You just get it because I'm gonna anyway, right? Like I know there's things that people don't want to pick up, and I get that you feel like you have extra control there, but they've balanced it with having plenty of inventory space, and also I think this benefits controller people because there's a lot of people playing on PlayStation.
I think it
and
only
stuff.
matters in like PUBG style games where you don't want to pick everything up. You just want to loot. You're actually looting the corpse for useful things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not a ton of loot
Yeah.
in Final Fantasy. To
No.
be fair, like there's no armor and stuff doesn't drop in the world. Like you're not gonna kill something and get a badass sword. Like that's just not
It's all
You're not
dungeons
gonna
and
kill a
raids.
gopher and it drops massively epic gauntlets. Like it's just not that kind of game.
I
So
do.
there's not a lot of loot to begin with.
I do feel like I got a Alphino wind-up toy from a rando out in the field somewhere. Something like that happened to me. I don't remember what it was. I got a toy like that though. And by the way,
know.
their toys are all silly, but they work, and I don't have to wait 20 minutes to refresh them. I just get them.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
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 How
it's
do they do
crazy.
that?
It's crazy, right?
that's wild,
Like,
right? It's who knew that could be
Would
done.
the MMO fall apart if you don't put at least a 30-minute cooldown on every toy?
how does it not break?
Yeah. Speaking of time gating, those are my least favorite thing. Is like if you give me a toy, I earned it, or I paid for it, or something, and I should get to play with it. Now I understand if it's a thing that's going constantly and nobody can turn it off, and everybody in town wants to murder me. I get that. Those I understand. But if it's like a little poofy effect on my head or something, don't turn it off for an hour. Let me do it anytime I want.
Gammon will save us.
Drives me nuts.
If you ever want to see something really weird, though, Scott, next time you're in an inn in Final Fantasy, there is a thing called the toy box.
Yeah.
Click it and check out what's in there. It is like the most stuff that came with your PC games within the game that you've ever seen.
Really?
Yes, there's
I haven't
like
done that. I didn't know that
there's
was in
like
there.
a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle that you can put together. There's like I don't know, it's just weird. It's like you went over to grandma's house and she was like, I got toys, get the wicker basket out from the closet, and it's like, what's in here? It's the most obscure things. I think like there's a slide puzzle where you can just, move the squares a little bit. Like it's weird. Just
That is
go
weird.
check it out at some point the next time you're in an inn and just marvel at this incredibly weird part of Final Fantasy that nobody talks about.
I'm saved in an inn right now, so I may.
It's just the weirdest damn box of things ever. And every now and then you'll unlock something new for it. And it's the only reason I remember it's there is because every now and then it'll be like, you can now play this at the end in the toy box. And I was like, what's the toy box? Oh, right. That's that toy box.
Yeah. Well, I definitely will. Now I want to know. All right, we got a quick call, and we're going to play it.
That's a good question.
This is from, let's see, it's a Demon Souls commentary, or something about Souls-likes in general, so check it out.
Hey, my name is Donovan, and this is for the Core Hounds. I was just listening to episode 425, and you guys were talking about Demon Souls and how, it was way harder. I was also remembering Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 both did that mechanic where you, became undead and you lose health. They did make it a little bit easier by, your health, ticked down. So every time you died, it would tick down a little bit, your max health. And so you could only heal up to that point, and it would tick down every time you died. So eventually, if you didn't, ever get human form, you would have, tiny little health bar. And it wasn't until you got your human form by using an item that you had to, grind for or pick up or maybe purchase from a couple vendors or something like that, if I remember correctly. Love you guys. You guys are awesome.
All right. That sounds hard, and I don't want to do it.
It was so great. I just remember the first time I discovered it because I played Demon Souls when it came out, before there was a big zeitgeist around it. Nobody was talking about it. People eventually were, but I didn't know it was a big thing. And so I'm just playing this video game that looked cool, and I died. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, go back, get your currency, and do it at half health. And it's like, well, wait a minute, but I died last time. Why am I going to be able to do it this time with even less health? And it's like, I don't care. Figure it out. And I was like, what kind of game is this? What is this game doing to me? Who does that? And it boggled my mind. But that's part of the allure and the appeal of the games.
Nice.
So,
well, hard is hard. I do appreciate that. Elden Ring doesn't want to make me jump too many hoops for that part of it.
Yeah, it's something you got to sign up for. I think Elden Ring, to me, walks the perfect balance of difficulty that you can control yourself. You can make that game a lot more challenging very naturally, and you can make that game kind of laughably easy very easily. And I think that that's great. I think that's like, to me, that's what an RPG should be. Like, oh, this is a challenge. I'm gonna go find a way to make it easy, and you can go do that.
Well, Beau, let's ask Mr. Elden Ring is easy what he thinks about. Sorry, I'm not trying to perpetuate this myth that Beau thinks that all Souls-likes are easy. Okay, I swear I'm not, but I do
Elden
think
Ring.
I do think it's funny though.
I can't speak for the other ones because I haven't played them.
I mean, I just watched a video of you one punching the hardest boss in the game, or at least in the pre-expansion game. So it's clear you found your methods and whatever, but it just cracks me up when people get mad about that.
I'm not going to comment on the other games. Certainly, I played some Sekiro, and I found that it's definitely challenging because there's no leveling up kind of in the same way. You just got to dodge perfectly.
Yeah, Sekiro is basically a just get better.
Yeah.
How do I beat this? You get better at it.
Yeah.
Like, there are lots of other solutions in Elden Ring that you can do besides getting good.
Yeah.
But Sekiro, we'll get good.
Yeah. Well, there's that thing. And by the way, he sent that to a number that's real easy to remember. Put in your phone. Use it anytime you want. 801-471-0462. You can send text there as well. And you can also send emails to us. talktothecore@gmail.com. If you go to the website, which is at frogpants.com/core, you will find a little form there too that'll let you contact us. So use whatever way is easiest for you. Send your feedback. We'll read it right here on the show. And while you're at it, join our Patreon at patreon.com/core show. This is the only commercial you're going to hear from us out of our mouths to do anything. And we don't raise our prices every quarter like everybody else. Looking at you, Netflix, Game Pass, and everyone else. Oh, by the way, breaking news on the Game Pass front. Just saw this and I forgot to say something. They are now being investigated. Let's see, here it is. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, here in the States, blasts, says The Verge, Microsoft's new degraded Xbox Game Pass standard tier and price increases. So now they're in trouble and they're going to have to defend it in at least hearings, possibly more. So,
I mean, because of how many people there are, they're just vacuuming up more money for what reason?
Good. They should.
Higher than inflation, so it's not just inflation.
They're $1 trillion
market
cap company.
And I don't just say that because they named their weakest level core. I say that because I feel it on principle. Good. They should be investigated.
Yeah, we should be the highest tier. It's true.
Always put core at the top. Whatever happened to the thing that Epic was making that was called Core? Remember that? It was like
we're going to go up against
Roblox, right? Roblox thing?
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I don't know. What happened to everything that goes up against Roblox?
I guess it's
you're not gonna I don't know why people are chasing it. You're not going to. You're too late.
The website's
Have
still
you
up.
talked to a kid that's into Roblox?
I mean,
you're
feels
not
like
penetrating that.
Yeah, I don't know why they want. In the same way that people aren't really penetrating Fortnite, like they have their own stronghold. They should understand this principle. Maybe they think that's so strong they can lure people in.
I can look at their most played games on their site. It is Island Survival Alpha, 1.9 million.
They claim they have 50,000.
Sounds a lot like Fortnite.
Yeah,
another epic game.
They claim on here they have 50,000 games in every genre available to play in this thing.
It's possible there was a rush of interest around when this launched or whatever. I don't know. I mean,
here's how I know this is never going to work.
Okay, go.
I have kids that play Roblox.
Yeah.
They've come to me after playing Roblox and said, I played Fortnite. I played Among Us. I played whatever game is currently popular. And I go, no, you didn't. They say, yes, I did. And I said, where did you play it? On my computer. How'd you get it on your computer? Because I didn't authorize you getting those games, and those games cost money. Well, we played it in Roblox. Yeah, that's not those games. Those are bootleg, stolen assets, recreation, approximations of other video games. And you know what their response is every time? Yeah, I don't care. They have they don't care. So anytime someone puts it out and they go, yeah, it's like that thing you like, but this is going to have better graphics and it's going to be cooler. And look at the graphic. Kids, don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
They really don't. And it's hard to stress how little they care about this. And it's frustrating to me because I'm like, guys, if you want to play, like the Fortnite one drove me the most crazy because I'm like, you literally have Fortnite. You can go play Fortnite. We have played Fortnite together. Yeah. Why are you playing it in Roblox? Well, it's just in Roblox. It's easier.
It's just easier. I mean, that's where all my friends are. Yeah. Here's the other thing, though. Picture yourself 8 to 12 years old. You wouldn't care either. This would be just be where you go. The things that we were into at that age, all the adults in the world could come and go, well, yeah, but that show you're watching on TV on Saturdays is that's Bugs Bunny, but it's like a knockoff. We didn't care. Why would we care? It's wherever the kid's zeitgeist is, and that's in Roblox. So tough boobies.
Yeah. You're not going to win them over with what you're doing. So anybody that's chasing to be the next Roblox, I got bad news for you. You are not going to win that race. You have already lost that race. If you want to get kids over to your other ecosystem, you need to find a different path.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the way I'd see it is the way Epic sees it, which is if it's possible, it will probably be them, given the Fortnite heft, right? But that's still not enough. Then nobody's going to crack that egg. Like, no one will ever beat Roblox at their own
Epic's doing really well because I will tell you, Roblox, Rocket League, and Fortnite, very popular.
Yeah.
And Epic owns 2 of those. So guess what, Epic? Be happy for the 2 you have. You're not going to break into Roblox territory. Yeah. You're just not.
Maybe they should buy Roblox like they did Rocket League.
Well, and then what? Because then Epic becomes financially responsible for all the knockoff bootleg shit that's in Roblox.
Yeah, that's true. You almost have to run Roblox on like an island somewhere that's not controlled by any governments.
I don't know how they get away with it.
No.
And it's frustrating. Like every time, like when I got married, I was like, oh, and our kids are gamers. This is going to be great. And they're like, I like Roblox. Well, I don't want to play Roblox. And I'm like, look, do you guys want to play other things? No. Yeah. And we're both at an impasse. We're a family of gamers that have zero interest in each other's games. Like sometimes there's an overlap. And when that Venn diagram, when you find that sweet spot and everybody's into it, like lean into it and enjoy the hell out of it. But at the same time, like you're just not going, their wants and needs from video games are different than the rest of us. And you're not going to get them with a logic that would apply to the older generation of gamers.
Nope. Whole new gen. They may come around eventually, but you're trying to get them now. So let Roblox be their thing. All right. Well, we did it.
I think, so I'm figuring out this, getting the skinny from YouTube comments here because this Core Games YouTube channel, not super active for something you'd think would be popular, but I'm seeing they incorporated NFTs into their product at one point.
Well, that'll get the kids. Let me tell you, every kid I ever met was like, I'm into 2 things, Roblox and NFTs.
Well, I don't think this is necessarily aimed at the kids. I mean, with the NFTs, I think it's aimed like amateur game development. I don't know, but that's probably why it's not being aimed anywhere. Smartly.
Yeah, well, they want people to make games in their ecosystem, and if they're claiming
they charge microtransactions. Like the thing is, it's like if you want to develop a game, just get Godot. It literally costs 0. Like why would I make a game that's offering me a 10,000 credits bucket for $129.99?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like and that isn't aimed for like kids and good times. I don't know what you spend on Roblox, what you buy there, but I don't. This doesn't really have a good use case, I don't think, for a lot of people. But apparently, according to the YouTube comments, it fell off because they started emphasizing the NFT business. And well,
I say we take the name Core back. We forcibly remove it from their soul and take it back.
Core is like 1,000. There's water called Core. There's probably 50 podcasts called Core on YouTube, like, or has the name in it that I've seen, I think, or on Apple. Sorry, on iTunes. What Apple Podcasts? I think I've seen other cores. It's just a common word, even though it has a very specific meaning for us.
Right.
Because that's what
it's super cool.
Is called in Heroes.
It's very cool when we use it. That's all I know.
We are the best use of the core word. But I don't think we have.
It's hard to trade. You can't really trademark it.
People be like, but I don't think that's gonna.
I mean, there's a movie. There's a movie called The Core. It's not very good, but there's one. You can see it.
I think it's a common enough word, but we're the best core.
Yeah.
Unless, do we want to rebrand, or is this? Are we starting a rebrand conversation?
No. We own
You don't want to. You don't want to call us Deadpool's buttholes.
No, we're not doing Deadholes. I feel like then Marvel steps in and we have to fight them.
Oh right. We got to come up with their own name. We'll call ourselves the Unstance.
The Unstance. I like it.
Unstance.
That's good, but no one's using that.
Core. We're core. We're staying core. I'm just joking around.
The beauty of Unstance is nobody's using it, so we could have our own name.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It sounds terrible too, though. I'm sorry I suggested.
Oh, Tondagosa says Roblox cast. No. Like that just makes me feel bad to even hear it, because to me that's old podcasting circa 06 or so.
You really don't like cast. The word cast.
I don't like it when they put it in their names.
Yeah.
You'll notice I've never done a show that had the word cast in it. Oh no, except forecast.
Almost the morning cast, but we changed it to the morning stream.
Except for the one.
Yeah, we had forecast, but I didn't name it. That was a Leo Laporte thing. But when Tom and I were doing it. But as far as any names I made up, at least I don't think I did.
I feel like, though, there's a more terrifying version of this is when people refer to it as the pod.
I hate that.
Have you seen people doing that?
I can't stand it.
Right? So yesterday when I was talking to Scott on the pod, you should go to jail. That's an immediate.
It actually hurts to hear
call the FBI, go to arrest.
And I get messages sometimes. I had a guy telling me, let me tell you something. If you want me to guest on your cool little fledgling show, I'm always happy to do it whenever I can. I always try to. But when people say, hey, I'd love to get you on the pod, automatic no.
Yeah.
I ain't coming on your pod. Forget it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Please do not call it the pod.
Ugh. It's gross.
The cast is also not great, but it's more forgivable. Pod is unforgivable. You've reached an unforgivable level of territory.
Just say my show. Come on my show. I'll say, all right, I'll be on your show. I'd love to be on. You're not
program? I would accept program.
I'll be on your program.
I'll be on anyone's program.
Is pretty good.
That's grandma watching.
I'd love to be on a program.
That's That's somebody watching The Rifleman on Friday night.
I'm glad I'm old enough to have heard people unironically say stuff like that.
Okay, what if they call it a talkie?
Oh gosh,
no one says that. That's too.
That's movies.
Nobody does. But they should.
They could and would and should.
You want to come on the talkie?
You want to come on our talkie? Oh my gosh. I mean, for a while, Leo was trying to get everyone to call him Netcast, and that did not work. Nobody did.
Netcast.
Yeah. Netcast.
I mean, it as much sense as podcast, so whatever.
Yeah, but it's like any word. It sticks. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just there.
Netcast.
Yeah.
It's the. Did it sound cool when it was starting? Because Scott would be the best. When you were first posting MP4 files or
MP3s,
MP3 files. Sorry, not MP4, MP3 files.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Yeah.
Were you just damn, I'm podcasting, son.
This
is awesome.
No, it was cool because you got to remember in the very early stages of this thing, this was an Apple only thing. It was showing up on iPods, and that was it. And that's where the pod came from. And you couldn't get it any other way. And then it expanded, and as it should have, and it became a bigger, wider thing. And it was around then you see people going, call it a webcast, call it a netcast, call it all these other names, because nobody liked that Apple's stamp would stay on it.
Right. So it's a compound of the iPod and broadcast.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so
we're no longer Apple exclusive, and
not even close. Yeah. But they still call it that. Everybody
I guess
does.
It's still that's why the cast is less egregious, because it still is a broadcast of a certain type, and you can kind of be like, okay, it's a cast. But
yeah, I just like show.
Getting you on the pod. I mean, I'm over podcast.
You're done. Let's get on the pod. Let's go on the pod. From now on, it's the pod.
Let's go on the pod and get John some new toys for his shelf behind him.
Core pod. Right. Wait, didn't we used to have a core pod? A Twitter account was
Core
pod.
Yeah.
There is a
Pod is the Twitter account.
Corpod is the Twitter handle, dude.
I hate it so much. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's ours. We can change it. Should we change it?
Well, I tried to get just core, and I tried to get. I didn't want to go full core podcast. I should have, but I don't even use Twitter now, so I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter as much.
Place sucks.
We need to get an Instagram account now, I think.
That place really sucks. I hate it. There.
It does. It really does, actually. Like, there's a lot of...
And right now, social media in general can just lick my butt. I'm tired.
I'm a little over it, too, honestly. Like, I'm sort of at a lack of, like, as promotional vehicles go, these things are great ways.
Sort of.
To get word out on stuff, sort of. It's not like a silver bullet by any stretch.
Yeah, used to be
better.
I get more traction out of just... using our Discord as a great community hub. I get way more out of that than I do.
Well, I wonder how people, like, as you have over decades of doing this built an audience, but I wonder, the kinds of lengths people go to now to get attention is just so insane, where it felt like, I could just post and somebody will eventually notice.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like it'll get drowned out by the algorithm. So, like, I've got to go and put a toilet on my head and
you got to be
myself on a water slide, post that on TikTok, and then the people, or I got to say Hawk Tua.
Yeah, you got to be the
tell
Hawk
people
Tua
I
girl.
like to spit on penises, and then people might listen to our show.
Yeah,
like that's.
Then I'll I'll do a diatribe on Twitter about how it's a gift from the Lord that this happened to me. I'm like, yeah, he loves people spitting on wieners. There, he's into it. God. If there's anything I ever learned from all the Bible study I did as a kid, hawking a big loogie on somebody's wiener, that's holy.
I
that's
think
holy
he would
ground.
Be into it though, because it is a he. It's a capital H he. He probably loves the like. I don't actually have a problem. Like, surely he likes a little handy, like God does.
This is the worst place we could have taken it, because now people are we're gonna get some religious, and that's the thing. I was just trying to keep it like.
Does he? Were we not made in his image, and does he not have reproductive organs?
That's a great question that I don't know. I have the answer.
I don't think the Bible says so. So we're free to speculate. Thank you.
Therefore, thine. You know what's very biblical? The way everyone talks in Final Fantasy XIV cracks me up because they're so biblical about it. They're like, "Mine day hath been wrought by the knot of the thing," and I'm like, you guys are just like a freaking New Testament chapter have to stand.
It's mostly Urianger. He's the worst.
Yeah, he's pretty.
And by worst, I mean best. I love Urianger so much, but he's always the one that is, Shakespearean English when he decides to talk.
Yeah. There's a few like that. The dragons are very verbose that way, but they're kind of fun.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true.
I do like. We talked about it last week. I don't have to get into it again. Some of these dragons I like. I like their personalities. It's not their looks I'm so into, but I like their personalities. They have good personalities. Nidhogg's a mess. That guy needs a facelift. Just go get some work done.
Nidhogg's gnarly. Yeah.
He's just got too much shit all up in his face.
And he's mad too.
Also,
can't blame him for it.
I love watching. This isn't a spoiler, but I just like watching Astinian.
Yeah.
It's just always pulling an eye out. Check it out. Got an eye. Oh, other eye. It's just like eyes. Check it out. We got eyes. The eyes have it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Got them eyes. It's dragon eyes.
I'm embracing the weird. It's good. All right. That is it for us, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I think we should call it there.
I think we're good. Quick note that we will be
back.
Not
there maybe 10 minutes ago.
We'll be back next week with more. I'm actually going to be out of town this weekend and probably playing a lot. I don't know how good my internet's going to be, so I don't know if I'll be playing Final Fantasy, but I will definitely be playing the skate and spray game. What's it called? I forgot. Well, you know what? I don't need to.
Going camping?
No camping.
Are you going camping?
Hell no, but I am going to a place with less internet, but I am going to a place where Post Malone has a mansion, so I might see Post Malone while I'm up there.
Well, he's got Wi-Fi for sure, so maybe be like, hey, dude, you know how it is. Can I get on your Wi-Fi, please?
He's super chill. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14. I need to know what Urianger does hath to say.
All I got to do is show up at his door, flicking magic cards at him, and it'll be like, whatever you want. I'll do
Yeah,
it.
I was like, there's an off chance that he's a core listener because
Very
he
off.
likes video games.
Very off chance.
And
But
you
yeah,
never know.
You never know. You never do know.
You
But
never know.
I do know this. Grandma has to remind us one more time the games we played today, even though I think we did a wonderful job of explaining it in the moment. Still, it's a good thing to follow up at the end and say it again. So, Grandma, please take it away.
Well, I know everybody sticks around for this segment because it's pure high-octane speed as you find out what the video games were that they played. And they played a few. Final Fantasy 14, that got talked about a lot. Elden Ring, also talked about. No Man's Sky got a new update. They talked about it. Crab Champions, that's the... Do I need to explain it? That's the one with the crabs. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, that's the one that's like Jet Grind Radio. Ace Combat 7, Scott also played a little bit of that. And Beau played Zenless Zone Zero, and he didn't play WoW Season of Discovery. And
Nope.
apparently now never will.
No, it might be it.
Well, not 100%, but yeah, okay.
Might be it.
Looking that way.
Well, anyway,
Still thinking.
whether you do or don't, next week we'll find out. And that's the best part. People will just be on hands and knees. No, that's not it. Pins and needles is what I meant to say. Waiting.
Welcome to Cord. Get on your hands and knees.
Right now. You
When
require
you're, when you're excited about something that's going to come out, you definitely get on.
Assume the core listening position.
That's right. To go to the website to learn more about this position at frogpants.com/core. And we'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
I shall answer you with my blade.
Jeez, Space Pope. Or I guess that's...
So-
It's so